Yes.
We're
Of course we want to start the
we're
stream.
two
Dude.
ridiculously good-looking cowboys who want to talk about Linux.
Welcome to another Friday Night Live, where we're wearing ridiculous cowboy hats for some reason.
These aren't ridiculous. We look good. We make these cowboy hats look good.
So what's going on, man?
Having a blast. We finished recording another episode of Destination Linux.
Yeah.
The editing hasn't been done, but I'm sure you're going to do an incredible job. It was a good episode. Lots of amazing news out there. A lot of things with Ubuntu going on, right?
Let me post this link in the Telegram group so people can start to join.
Get them on.
So I still didn't see. I'm waiting for Michael to come on because I still didn't see a Hannah Montana Linux review yet.
I'm here to tell you, and with the cowboy hat on, it makes it way more serious and intimidating. Michael is probably not even going to show up tonight because he's cowardly chickened out on the Hannah Montana review.
Wow, that is so hostile.
That's right. Tux Digital calling you out. It's weak that you have not done it. Even Rocco was thinking of doing one, and he never said he would from the beginning.
Hey, if it would have installed on that USB, I would have been doing a review, but I couldn't get it to install.
Yeah.
Of course, my ISO is like 8 gigabytes, so I may have the wrong one. Maybe I have a malware-infested ISO.
It installs Hannah Montana on every distro you have.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It only installs on SDA.
Huh.
Yep. All right. So
link, please, Rocco. Link, please.
Link, please. Who's in the chat that I don't know about?
That Aussie.
I got so many windows open, I can't see nothing, dude.
How do you like our hats, Colin?
Colin, you love our hats, don't you?
I mean, we make this look good. Clifford, what's going on, man?
Cliff, what's happening, brother? When you going to join us, Cliff?
Yeah, it's time. You just got to bring your cowboy hat.
You just got to have Zoom installed and a cowboy hat, and you're good to go. Oh, don't forget a decently quiet background, because every week we have somebody join with a noisy background, and it kind of like hurts everybody. So we just ask that you have a decent background.
Yeah,
doesn't have to be perfect.
A little bit of noise is okay. It's not too much.
Wow, look at that. A new member on the Destination Linux Telegram group. Yeah.
Nice. Boy, howdy, them hats are slick. Well, howdy back at you, partner. We sure do know how to rock these hats.
Well, see, Cliff, I know that you completely watched Das Geek's video, his review on Hannah Montana Linux, and he was wearing that hat. And hey, Chip, what's going on, man? So,
Chip,
because he was wearing that hat, I was actually going to do my review in this hat just to do it because he was in it. So we figured we'd just do it live.
But in the spirit of theming, I have pink Hannah Montana headphones too.
You, of all people,
yeah,
theming.
That's right.
Running XFCE.
XFCE, Hannah Montana. I tell people XFCE, but I really run Hannah Montana.
Robot.
Sexy at night. You know it.
Like we said, if you got Zoom installed and you got a quiet background and a sexy hat, you can come on and join us.
Sexy hat. Shirts and shoes are not required, but the sexy hat is.
That's right. Well, so like he said, we just got done about an hour or two. It's 2 hours ago, getting done with Destination Linux, and that's recorded. Nice. But next week we have a special guest.
That's right.
So next week we are going to actually interview. Drum roll.
Yeehaw!
We're going to interview Michael Larabelle, I think his last name is said. He's the guy that runs Phoronix website.
Yep.
And the developer who developed Phoronix Test Suite. And it's going to be an awesome interview because the guy is like really into hardware and gaming and and everything else. So
we got a lot of great questions lined up with Vulkan and hardware and all that good stuff.
So if you guys have any questions, you can post in the Telegram group. Just make sure you, I'll put a hashtag out there so we can search for those questions. But you can just put a hashtag Michael Larabelle, and we'll collect those questions and see if we can get those answers.
Well, howdy, Kevin. How you doing there, partner? Just two cowboys talking about Linux. Nothing unusual here.
That's right.
You can't see it, but I got my 6-shooters on too.
Brad, what's going on, man?
Brad. So what's going on with you? I've been trying to convince you to also play with Deepin OS.
Well, look, before we start, I didn't, and I completely forgot to. You didn't remind me, and it's all your fault. But I didn't make a correction on Arch Merge and Arch Labs in the podcast from last week. So I will say it here, even though it probably won't get to where it all should be, but Arch Merge and Arch Labs are two totally separate distros with two separate teams and two separate goals. Just so happens that, hey, Colin.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Have I got voice?
You got voice, brother. Coming in loud and clear.
Does it sound loud and clear?
Yep.
Cool. Excellent.
Well, you got a hat on, but the wrong kind.
Yeah, you got to have a sexy hat on, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I don't have no cowboy hat.
What's wrong with you? Who doesn't have a cowboy hat? What self-respecting person doesn't own a cowboy hat?
Right? So anyway...
I'll throw it out. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Colin.
No, it's all right. You talk, Rocco.
Well, I just want to get the fact out that Arch Merge and Arch Labs are two separate things, and I made the mistake of kind of assuming that they were one because, like, Eric Dubois, he does everything in Arch Labs, but he was also posting the blog posts for Arch Merge, and he was doing the videos for Arch Merge, and he actually sent me a thing for Google Plus saying, hey, you want to check this out? So I just automatically assumed he was behind it, and it was kind of like similar to Arch Labs, but they are different. So just so you know, and darn it, I forgot to put that in the podcast. I should have.
You know, you could put a little text overlay in there.
I should in the beginning.
There you go. Or you could just put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, Interceptor, what's going on? Sorry,
I was going to hop last week, but I'm just enjoying this Ubuntu at the moment. I'll tell you what my feelings towards the current Ubuntu 17.10 is. It has a bit of a feel of GNOME, Unity Desktop, and Elementary all in one.
Really?
And yes, and on my laptop, I'm using the Nouveau drivers. And there's no screen tearing. It's zippy as. It functions real good. And when you're actually searching through the menu, when you press the what do you call it, the super key, if you search for dock or sound or whatever, it just finds anything within the settings, and you just hit enter, and you're straight into the sound settings or straight into the dock settings. It's just brilliant the way it works.
Well, I have it downloaded to try it. I just haven't got there. I did install the beta of Ubuntu Mate, the beta 2, and they've actually done a lot of good fixing up there on that one. So, like last time with the alpha, the HUD wouldn't come up all the time. You'd hit the Alt key and the HUD wouldn't come up, like 25% of the time, something like that. So they fixed that. They've done some work with the super key. They've done some work with the tray icon applets. So that's actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Except for that one line pixel that's off.
Oh, did you find that, Rocco?
I did. I did, actually. I'm not even joking. Like, look, it's, I'm sorry. It's just, there's a lot of good work that goes into it. But when you see I guess it's the welcome screen. I think it's the welcome screen. It's either the welcome screen or Software Boutique. I'm pretty sure it's the welcome screen though. And you got the top close menu bar, and it's that Ubuntu Mate brown. And the bottom, I forget what's on it, but right under the bar, the top of the page that you're looking at is like a dark brown with white writing, and then there's white writing with black writing. But on that black part, there is I'd say it's actually like 1 pixel wide on each side of the black that's white. And it just, I'm sorry, but it just makes it look bad.
Do you have a magnifying glass on the
I hate to be
arm?
that way, but
you
man.
move in like, oh, I'm going to get them now.
Hey, Vega, what's going on, man?
I think all distros that Rocco uses must have Zoom installed. The desktop Zoom.
Well, Chip said that he was under the impression that Arch Labs and Arch Merge were the same as well. And like I said, Chip, I'm sorry that I got it wrong on the podcast, but I just did a little bit of assuming there because, like I said, Eric was doing all the videos, all the blog posts for Arch Merge, so, you know.
He's really put a lot of videos out, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. And that was, I guess, my fault. That's what you get for assuming, so. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Can you hear us, Joe? I don't think
Joe.
he can hear us.
Okay.
It's all good. So, did you play around with any of the other betas, Colin?
No, I was on Sudo's chat the other night, and I think it's Bad Wolf Plays. You know Bad Wolf Plays?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He mentioned something about an operating system called Enzo OS. Excuse me.
Enzo OS.
Yeah, and it's actually in waiting for testing or verification or something within DistroWatch. You know that part where they're in the waiting list.
Yep. And
I thought I'd try that. And it's a bit of a mixture of XFCE. They've got a forked menu of the Pantheon menu, and you cannot play with the window tweaks or anything. So I tried to install Compton. I could not get back to the desktop, so I had to uninstall that because it had screen tearing. So, but and you can actually change the desktop, and you can actually save it, and it saves really well. So it's quite an interesting little distro, that one. So that was quite interesting.
I'll have to look around for that. Jonas.
Hey guys.
Joe, you got your mic working yet?
How's it going, gents?
Oh, it's going, brother.
Where's your sexy hat, Jonas?
Yeah, you're supposed to have a hat on, dude. It's Sexy Hat Friday night.
Well, I forgot my hat.
A real cowboy never forgets his hat.
Kind of sad considering I'm from Texas.
Yeah,
oh my
really.
gosh.
You of all people should have a hat.
Yeah, that's what I get for living too far south, I guess.
It's funny. Toss, here's the thing. So I used to actually wear a cowboy hat all the time and boots and everything. And so they called me Tex, and then because my name's Rocco, they just ran it together and called me Texaco, and that ended up being my CB handle when I drove trucks. So and it became my gaming name for a long time too. So
don't you have petrol station, or what you call over there, gas stations called Texaco?
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Blast from the past.
Yep. It's hat night. It is. You gonna join us, man, or what?
I don't think I have a hat, to be honest. I don't really wear them.
It's bogus. Totally bogus.
You could tie a shirt around your head.
Could do something. You give a little effort here.
Go get a salad bowl. Put
Get the tinfoil one out.
the tinfoil. Look at Joe. Joe, you're looking awesome, Joe. I love
There you
it. Go. Yeah, man. That's bringing sexy back.
Uh-huh.
Who needs a hat when you got a towel?
Right?
Oh, nice.
Bring my buddy Towley here.
That's awesome.
Wait, I think Chip just called me an oddball. I think that's what he did. He just called me an oddball.
They're just jealous we make these hats look so good, Rocco.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, it's probably not, but we do look like idiots. But hey, what are you going to do?
What, you saying the pink headphones for Hannah Montana Friday Night Live not working out?
Not working out.
Yeah.
I don't know. You think Michael's going to show up?
No, he's cowardly.
Wow.
He said he was going to do a Hannah Montana review. I've yet to see it.
Wow.
He should stay away.
Good old
He's too
Hannah
busy
Montana.
talking tech.
The only Linux anyone should be using right now.
If you can install it.
Yeah, well, you
Good
can't
luck
install
getting
it. No, you can't install it. I tried. Not going to happen.
You tried. Fair enough.
I did. That's why I'm wearing the hat, because I was going to wear the hat in my review because old Das Geek wore a hat in his review. So because I couldn't get it installed, we just figured we'd wear him tonight.
That's right.
You're not sorry, Chip. You're not sorry. All right. So
We came in like a wrecking ball. No.
did you guys hear about this Chrome extension?
Or which one?
Okay, so Chrome extension Safe Browse. So it's a great extension used by 140,000 users, except for one minor detail. They added in, they embedded in a crypto miner that starts when you open up the browser. It only takes up 60% of your CPU usage, so it's not a real big deal. Don't worry about that background.
I mean, if you're a
idle
Chrome
process.
user, you don't really care about that stuff anyways. You might as
Right.
well just keep running it.
Yeah, Chrome's malware anyway, right?
Open up
a little bit, Joe.
running. It blows my mind how many processes that thing runs.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why you would do this, though. I mean, first of all, you know that you're not going to allow... That's not going to be... Somebody's going to find it. So why would you make a bad name for your extension?
They didn't even try to hide it. And
No.
that's what's so silly about... This tells you so much about Google's policy, whether it's your phone or your computer or the products you're using. This guy just blatantly names it basically virus minor practically, and Google's AI catches nothing, gets approved, goes through the shop. Nobody cares.
Wait, hold on. It was called...
Google's AI only catches what you don't agree with.
Yeah, exactly.
Krypton Night Worker Blob. That's what it was called.
Yeah,
That sounds innocent.
Yeah.
This should be better.
yeah, that's good.
We can hear you, Joe.
Hey,
Okay.
Clifford said not to give up my day job. Did he just insult my singing? How dare he?
I think so.
That's shocking.
Slim Jet browser. That's one I haven't tried in a while.
Slim Jet, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you're supposed to wear certain hats, so maybe I could go see if I could go dig one up real quick.
It's Friday night, dude. It's
This
Hat
is the
Friday
new
night.
thing.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll go see if I can dig one out.
Okay, you dig one up.
It counts me out on Saturday morning.
Uh-oh. Cat
No.
in the room.
Joe just left. He's taking this hat thing seriously.
He's going to get his hat, dude. He's going to get his hat.
I like his commitment.
So, Rocco, what are you running at the moment? You still on Manjaro, was it?
I
Last
am
one?
on Manjaro Gnome, dude, and it's running great. I don't have any problems with it, except for Zoom every once in a while giving me an issue, but that gives me an issue on most things.
And audio
So-
issues overall.
Yeah. Well,
Actually
for
can't
some reason...
connect to Zoom.
Go ahead.
I can't connect to Zoom with Firefox. It comes up with a error with a Zoom MTG that needs to be installed or something. But it will work with Google Chrome. But it doesn't
Imagine
work
that.
with Firefox.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I had to grab the actual tar, and I just untarred it and then ran the little sh script that's there, and that's how I popped in. But yeah, I couldn't find a Zoom client for Gen 2. I tried the browser extensions; those didn't work either.
It
Well,
works
for
on
some
Google
reason-
Chrome.
Yeah, but the browser extensions, I don't understand it quite altogether because like on the Zoom website, they make it sound like it'll work just by opening up the browser and doing it, but it never works out that way. You have to have it installed.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. Basically, what the installers, what the browser extension seems to do is it'll trigger XDG when you
That's correct.
Try and click on it. But XDG basically just goes and looks for the Zoom program, and if it's not installed, it won't work.
That's right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like on the Zoom website, it almost appears like it would work with just the browser.
Joe, that is fabulous, man. You look incredible.
Hey,
I love it.
Used this down south this past week.
I love it.
This was a friend of mine, so he gave it to me in the closet. I forgot I had it until I saw what you guys are wearing.
Well, now that you've got your trusty hat, you can wear it everywhere this weekend.
It's a little tight. It means my head got bigger as I got older, I think.
That's that brain growing, man. That's that brain growing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got a big head.
Das has always got that positive outlook, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, so anyway, Manjaro GNOME seems to be working out really well, and I haven't had the need to. And I gotta say, even when I was on Ubuntu GNOME, I don't find the need to like want to switch. I enjoy running GNOME for some reason, and every time that I have tried KDE in the past couple times, something has gone wrong, and that includes Manjaro KDE. I had installed it to do a video on it. It worked great, but this last time, right before I installed Manjaro GNOME, I installed Manjaro KDE, and just things were going goofy. Things were not working.
You know how much I love KDE. It's the same way. I mean, I talked about it nonstop, especially when I switched to Linux, but I can't use it anymore. Every distribution I put KDE on, there's so much broken, and it's not one thing specific. It's just it's all over the place. Either it's the text that's blurring when you're going through the menu, or you can't get the sound to work correctly, which is an issue in most distributions, but it seems to be amplified in KDE. It's just, it's a constant problem.
Oh my gosh, look at his, Alan, what's going on?
Yeah, man.
That was good.
Perfect. That was perfect.
Yeah, I can't use KDE anymore either, man. I feel you. Yeah, like I love it. I really do. I love KDE, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, the second I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm in love. Why did I ever leave? And then when you start going to do stuff in it, and if you're just doing browsing or normal stuff, it's fine. But anytime you're doing video editing, if you have a mass amount of sound equipment like I have or anything else, it just starts bugging out all over the place.
I find going through some phase at the moment or something, because it was working okay there at one stage, wasn't it?
Yep, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was working really well, and it seems like ever since the I guess when 10 point, even when 10 first came out, it just seems like it was just not working right. Before that, it was good. And ever since the newer releases, it's a shame, because I really do love KDE.
Robot Glock said some Amish man is running around hatless thanks to Joe.
And there's Toss.
What's funny about that is the man who gave me this, God rest his soul, now, he was a retired Chicago police officer. And he had this and a straw hat, and I wore the straw hat out, and this one's sitting on the shelf. But yeah, that's probably about right.
Joe, don't let them take you down. They're jealous.
I don't know how long it'll work. It is actually squeezing my head a little bit.
You're in the spirit, Joe. You're in the spirit.
Yeah, that's right. I'll suffer for you guys.
Alan, you so need a hat, dude.
Oh no, I got one.
Okay.
Heather.
Toss, what's going on, man?
Hey, Toss.
Uh-huh.
He's struggling like I was.
He's got a hat.
No, it is about Zoom. It doesn't save.
Oh yeah, look at that banker's hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or is that a golf hat?
Oh, I lost my hat.
Yeah.
Go back to the towelly hat.
You gotta get
Tosca
it.
one now.
There it is, Alan. That's awesome.
Yep, there we go.
There we go.
Yep. Perfect.
Wait, you're looking from down under now.
I think he's going fishing.
Yeah,
You just
man.
need the screen in front.
Everyone's looking ultra good tonight.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, that's fun.
Well, I took a chance. And
Yeah.
I upgraded my kernel tonight. I haven't rebooted the system, but I tested it on another one first. I still have the same old. I haven't flipped in a while. I still have 18.2 Mint Mate and put the kernel in here tonight, but I haven't rebooted it. I haven't had the nerve, I guess. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but you won't find any issues until you reboot.
As long as the power don't go out, you're fine.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
bad.
I have 4.10.35 in here now, so it should be okay.
Do you do that often, Joe? Do you upgrade kernels often?
No, that's actually the first time I've done it on this particular distro because the last time I did it, I broke something.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Usually I will go with whatever the operating system uses as far as like the default kernel or whatever, because every single time that I have tried to update the kernel, something's gone wrong. So, not to say that it could have been user error, but it just seems that way.
Well,
Is
the
there a
other thing
reason
too is
why
I tend
John-
to try to read a little bit more, even if if I don't understand what it is in there, because again, I'm still learning about this. I'll leave it alone for a while, but then when I start seeing more threads about people that maybe have done it and they're talking about, because one of the things is when you look at in particular with the updates, and they give you basically the tiers, if you will, the levels of this is good, it's been tested, this is okay, but it hasn't been tested, this is that kind of thing. And when you see the little orange, it's like, oh, should I do it? But it's been sitting there forever, and I'm thinking, does that mean it's bad? Because I know Michael always says, oh, you should always do your security updates, but those things always have and I use it by color. I mean, I don't know if that's right, but when you look at the orange symbol next to it, it always looks like, does that mean it's on fire because there's something wrong with it? Or, so, but, so I try to be a little more conscious about what I'm putting in here, but that doesn't mean I'm still not going to break something, but that's how you learn too.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you updated, Joe? Did you update for any reason? Was there an issue with any hardware or something?
Well, no, there wasn't really any issue, and the one that was in here was, I think it was, I don't think it was 4.8 something or whatever, and I just figured by, I don't know. I saw some things in there that they said that they fixed and patched, and and it was 1604.1, and I thought, well, that's what this was supposed to be built on, so I thought, let me just try it, and I tried it on another machine, I guess a guinea pig machine, my little HTPC I use in the back room, and it was fine. Now, yeah, they're two different animals because I've got a lot more going on this machine, but I would think it's still the same distro, the same operating system, so if it worked on that one, why wouldn't it work on this? And maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it because it's two different sets of hardware, but
Yeah.
so far I'm not going to, like I said, I haven't rebooted yet. I mean, that'll tell me if I'm having issues, but another reason why I thought maybe I should is I've been really doing okay with my internet connection, but what I noticed is when I was first booting up with it, is my internet connection was always spotty. It would just seem like it kept dropping signal, and this is wireless, so of course you're going to expect that, but it seems like it takes a little while before it stabilizes. It was weird. It was just, or it gets a fairly steady signal, if you will. And I know that could possibly be a hardware issue, but one of the things that they talked about in that kernel, I believe, was yeah, it could affect the internet, but it could also improve it. I mean, if depending on your hardware or whatever. So I just thought I'd take a stab at it. I think it was just more morbid curiosity too, to be honest with you. I mean, it's no different than distro hopping. I think it's when you want to
Kernel hopping. It's a new thing.
Kernel hopping.
That sounds safe.
Distro hopping.
Yeah.
Learning how to upgrade your distro's kernel.
What's that?
Well,
I said I think it's better than distro hopping because you're learning how to upgrade your distro's kernel, which is
Well,
something
exactly.
I do on Gentoo pretty frequently.
Yeah. It's not something that I regularly do, and I was like, I was literally chewing my nails off when I'm doing this, thinking, should I do this, shouldn't I? Because I always said if it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it. But again, I was having the spotty network stuff, so I was hoping, well, maybe there's improvements in this. That's the only reason I thought I'd take a stab and see if And the other one,
Yeah.
it's a basic Dell 660S slim computer, and that thing's been running really well. And and then I updated it last night, and it seems like it's doing really good, because that was dropping signal too. At first I thought it was my carrier, but then I started to realize it was something in my wireless. And since last night, it's been, knock on wood, it seems like it's doing even better. So I'm hoping there's enough improvements in here to make a difference. That's all.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, I had a similar problem with my Wi-Fi, and my IT guy at work put me onto an app called Wi-Fi Analyzer if you got an Android, and you can walk around the house and it actually tells you your neighbor's Wi-Fi and all that, and if interconnecting with each other, and your neighbor's Wi-Fi's can actually, if they're on the same what do you call it, bandwidth, whatever, same channel, that's
channels.
They can mess with your Wi-Fi. I think that's what was happening with mine.
Yeah, I go in periodically in my router. I check firmware updates, and I also check to see if if the channels need to be adjusted, things like that. Yeah. Leaving it on automatic isn't always the best thing. And I've talked to the provider, which they said would probably be the best channels to do it on. And there is an app even for. I have an iPhone 6, and there is an app on there too where you can check.
I just linked this. It's in the chat. Basically, what you want to do is you want to look at what channels your neighbors are on, and then you want to pick a channel that doesn't overlap with any of the channels that your neighbors are on. Once you do that, it should clear up any kind of reception issues that you're having. So
that's spot on.
That's my advice.
That's exactly what I did, and I haven't had many problems since I did that. So you're spot on what you're saying, Jonas.
Well, another thing I noticed too, which was odd in Mint, is you have the Wi-Fi icon in the bottom, and you click on it, and it brings up your menu, and you can usually see whose Wi-Fi is available, yours, and all that. And for whatever reason, if a lot of times that list was going away, and all it showed was a connection icon, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I don't know if that's another distro issue or what was happening. But if I reboot, it would do the same thing. But the minute I would go into the connection information, get rid of the my wireless, ID, and just start over and just have it find it fresh, that list comes back.
Yeah, it's a network manager bug.
Yeah. So that's not a huge deal as long as it works. I don't care. But I like being able to see the signal strength. If there's an issue.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I like that also.
For me, usually what I do with the when it comes to kernel upgrading is I typically won't upgrade the kernel until I'm like right about ready to distro hop. Then I'll go on, I'll find like the latest, most unstable kernel, throw it in, break it, and then install something else.
Well, that's what happened
huzzah.
To me. I did a bug report with Ubuntu during the week because I couldn't get the Bluetooth working. It kept crashing with the headset. And so I did a bug report, and they told me to upgrade to 4.14, which I did. But I was having trouble searching the internet and the list of the phone. So put it back to 13.
Well, I don't know if kernel hopping will become a thing or not, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Sounds like someone may not have the stream muted.
Well, if it is a thing, I'm definitely the king of kernel hopping, because anytime it releases a minor revision, I just use the same configs. I just rebuild it, rebuild my grub, and then I'm good.
Yeah, but see, I don't really learn anything by upgrading to kernel because Manjaro has a kernel manager.
There's really, honestly, there's not a lot to it. Minor revisions, it's just, small little security patches, performance things, but you're not changing any of the drivers or the modules. All that really stays the same. You're just rebuilding the new patches. That's it.
Yep.
Michael.
What?
Nice, dude. Really nice.
I was almost going to be mad at you, Michael, because you cowered it out on Hannah Montana, but the hair is making up for it.
Man, I never
That
thought
hair
we'd
is
make a
awesome.
joke about that distro has become a thing. Montana.
I didn't realize that people had done reviews before this on it. Like, I think.
Oh, look!
Oh my
He
gosh.
did it.
He did actually install it.
Oh, we're not worthy.
Oh, you're the man. Oh, without you now, I don't care. We got it.
Oh, that's so awesome, man.
So when can we expect a review? Maybe next year? Oh, I'm sorry. Tomorrow?
He's got to get his hair out of his face first.
Hold on. Is he muted?
Did you see his hand movements? I
They
mean,
looked natural, didn't they?
he's full out LARPing here. He's become Hannah Montana.
I'm telling you. He gets into his role.
Just a little bit too seriously, I think.
I think the pink headphones, I thought I was going overboard, but he's pushing it.
He gets into his role.
All out.
Bringing sexy back.
So
All right,
what's up?
so you wanted to talk to me and Ryan about Firefox or something for some odd reason?
Something about how y'all are wrong about stuff. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
We weren't wrong about Hannah Montana, were we? It's awesome.
It is the greatest ever thing.
I told you. I told you.
I'm working on it because unfortunately it suffers from something called the Miley virus. So I'm trying to.
Oh, God.
So I'm trying to make that not a thing anymore.
That explains the hair.
Oh wow.
Miley virus. That's a good one.
Please tell me you were not swinging from a wrecking ball later.
Oh my gosh.
That's how you fix it. That's how you fix it.
That's how the intro to your video should be, Michael. Is you swinging it from a wrecking ball.
I like you made a thing about how I go in depth on things, and it's like, well, he challenged me, so I'm going to make it ridiculous. So
Joe.
instead of just a joke.
When we're gonna do a Halloween special?
Oh my gosh. This is getting crazier by the minute.
You see what Hannah Montana's done to us?
I'm telling you.
Oh.
All right, so
Oh,
how
my
are we
goodness.
wrong about Firefox?
Yes, tell us, please.
I don't remember what you said.
Good, then we were right?
So it was something about how like this was like making developers annoyed about it, and it was like, it was like a quick
The
thing.
add-ons. The add-ons, you
Yeah,
mean?
it's not a quick thing. That they announced this 2 years ago. Like, and there was a year. There was at least a year of full development for porting. And my other point was, like, y'all pointed out how Grease Monkey was like 800,000 users. Like, well, the point is that using web extensions, you also had the benefit of porting extensions from Chrome. So Tamper Monkey, which is made for Chromium, is already on Firefox, so it doesn't even matter. Like, all of those people are not like out at all even now.
Except if you wanted to use Grease Monkey instead, I guess, unless you were fond of that extension.
If you specifically cared about like what extension does the same thing that is the other option already does, then yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. But like, stylish versus stylus.
Right.
So
yeah,
like,
well,
man.
I don't personally care about using different extensions as long as they operate the same way or give me the same options. But there are some people that are, sticklers for the way they want their extensions, and I don't think I ever mentioned that it was quick in the development, like as far as cutting off legacy add-ons. It's just, regardless of how long it takes, it's still cutting off.
Well,
it's really
every single
ends up,
extension I had, every single one in Firefox, and I love Firefox more than I don't use Chrome. I've switched to Chromium because Firefox lately has been extraordinarily slow. Now, Michael, you made the point specifically with video content. You made the point about extensions causing it. You're likely correct. Every single extension I have has legacy on it, or that term it puts in there basically saying
Yeah.
that this needs to be updated.
It's older than 57 support. Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed issues with Firefox as well, especially when you're trying to play streaming video content. And if you run it, or I don't know if you guys have tried it, but if you run it with HTOP open, you'll find it's a memory leak. Like Firefox will, if you have 16 gigs of RAM and you let Firefox sit there running long enough with a stream, it will eventually eat up all 16 gigs of your RAM.
Which
That
is
sounds
why
like a challenge.
Which is why I'm specifically noticing it on my laptop more than my desktop. I got 32 gigs of DDR4 on my desktop, but my laptop, and it's with streaming specifically, which is interesting. You mentioned that Twitch,
it's exactly with streaming.
YouTube Live, and it just completely bogs the entire thing down.
No, it's a memory leak. I'm waiting for Firefox to release some kind of update or patch or something. But
Don't use legacy extensions and test that.
I've tried it actually, yeah, and it's much better. The only extensions I think I still have left are Privacy Badger and uBlock Origin.
I know uBlock Origin is updated to web extensions. Is Privacy Badger updated?
I was looking earlier. I don't know. Let me double check and see if it is or not. I'm running Chromium right now. Chromium's been Chromium was upsetting me a few months ago, which was why I switched back to Firefox. Let's see.
It is compatible.
Yeah, it is. I see it here. They're both.
Well, I've done what you're talking about, like 4 hours and no problem.
Yeah,
I've done it for hours in the past with Firefox and had no issue. It's a recent thing.
No, I'm saying that recently I've done it with Firefox and no problems.
Well, that's one experience. Two
Sounds like a
people are having
challenge.
issues. Not sure.
Let's all
WFM.
open up Firefox and leave it on the stream.
He's awesome. Hey, meet our new guest.
Oh, no
my
hat
goodness.
needed for that cute puppy.
Oh, yo, Fluffy.
Nice. Well, I don't know. Like I said, there are certain add-ons that are not going to be able to be ported, like Classic Theme Restore, ones like that a lot of people use, and a lot of people are upset about not being able to continue having that kind of control over the browser.
So, Michael,
Yeah,
is 57
but-
ultimately a really good thing? Do you think they're going to work
Yes.
out the bugs? And
I think people are going to have to just get over themselves.
Considering most of the add-ons that are out there that I know people like, I have to agree. Most add-ons that are out there you can live without.
It's because and also there's reports. Most things are being ported. Like some things, like NoScript, people were like, "I want NoScript." Well, yeah, right now it doesn't exist, but they're already working on it. And they said before 57 comes out, NoScript will be ported. So like, there's a lot of things that are claiming to working on the port anyway. So it's just people are like freaking out over something that really we've known is coming for a while, and it's not that big of a deal. And in fact, it's better overall because if you've tried Quantum, the speed of Quantum is ridiculous. Like it beats Chromium in most benchmarks. In some benchmarks it doesn't, but it does beat them on a lot of them. So it's like a couple issues that are existing from the some extensions that are being abandoned.
Yep.
Yeah, that sucks, but some of these things are not that important. Like being able to control the UI. Well, what about the new UI that you can manipulate and move everything around and change it to a dark mode like super easily? Like all these different benefits the new UI brings. They're like, I don't like the old UI where it's got this new curve. It looks so much like Chrome or whatever. It doesn't really at all because Chrome didn't have a curve. It's a slant. But anyway, they're like, we don't like that. We want the old square box style. Like, well, that's what the new UI looks like. It has the square box style. It basically looks like a modern version of the old style.
Right.
Like,
kind of like what Solus looks like. Solus Firefox actually has a box style.
I was noticing that with the Solus when I was playing with it earlier today, and yeah, I've noticed they're going for a modernized flat theme, which is very popular for like mobile devices and tablets.
but they're going back to their old style of the square structure, the way they used to have it before the Australis.
Australis? Something like
I
that.
don't know. Something like that.
some strange term that.
It's the Australians.
Tom, you need a hat, dude. You need a ridiculous hat.
Get your foil hat going, Tom.
Yeah, where's your tinfoil hat, dude?
So okay, I missed the thing. What's the hat thing?
Well, it all started with.
Oh, look at that! I love how it only takes us a second. Nice.
Well, Ryan did the Hannah Montana review with his cowboy hat on, so I just happened to have this around, and because I do wear this every once in a while. Anyway, I had this around, so I figured I was going to do my review with this hat on, and then it just bundled into Friday Night Live with hats, all except Jonas.
You know, speaking of looking awesome, Heather pointed out this Distillation Linux shirt.
Uh-huh.
In case you all wanted to see how awesome it could be.
Uh-huh.
Get yourself one. It does not come with the pink headphones. You got to buy those separate.
Or the hat.
Yeah.
We should make cowboy hats, Rocco. Destination Linux cowboy hats.
That would be awesome with a DL on the top. Oh, yeah.
We'd be rich.
Rich. Not really, but well. Well, you know, you guys were talking about Wi-Fi earlier, and I was having some major issues on Solus with Wi-Fi. It would drop constantly. And
So it's not just me then.
No, and I don't know what the deal was with it. And that was actually part of the reason that I switched to Manjaro Gnome, was because I couldn't figure out why it was dropping. And I switched to Manjaro Gnome, and I haven't had a problem since. So I don't know if it's the network manager they're using or the kernel itself that they're using or what, but something's going on with the Solus Wi-Fi.
Or maybe it's not the channel change that I did, because I've been running Ubuntu for a little while, and I haven't had any problems. It's actually quite zippy searching the internet as well. So that's interesting you say that.
Well, there was one other thing that I wanted to mention, and it's ridiculous sounding. But every day, hold on, whoever's not got this thing muted, let me mute them. I think that's Michael. Yeah, so every day I would leave for work at the same time, and every day the whole internet would go out on every computer in the house. And the only thing that I did to stop it, somebody else has got their, hold on.
The vacuum is on.
Who's got the vacuum on, for crying out loud?
I mean,
Who's running the vacuum here?
You
Anyway.
gotta clean, you gotta clean.
Anyway, I would leave every day at the same time, and every day the internet would go out for the whole computers. They would have to actually reset the router for this to stop happening. And the only thing that I did differently is install Manjaro Gnome, and this has stopped happening. I have no idea why. I can't see how an operating system on one computer of the network would do that. But I'm telling you, it happened every single day until after I installed Manjaro Gnome, which didn't have Solus on it, and I don't know what the deal is with it.
Well, I didn't think to blame Solus at all, but now that you're mentioning that, I don't know, there must be something about it that's causing those issues.
It sounds like a configuration thing. I mean, the only thing I could think of is something that's just overwhelming the router and just causing it to crap out on you.
Well, could it be? I mean, could it be one computer on the network that would do that?
No, but if you have several running the same OS,
It's all of Ike's updates.
it's very. I mean, it's very speculative.
What is Michael doing?
I bet you it's that very
Oh my gosh!
Nice, man.
I said it's getting weirder and weirder as we go along.
What even is that?
Oh my god, I love
But
it.
Halloween was next month.
Michael, if you start talking about KDE, I can't take you seriously, dude.
can you talk in that thing at all?
It's the best.
Now he's got to put the wig over the top of it, too.
This is not the Halloween edition, dude.
It's getting there.
I'm wearing my mask. I mean,
Yeah.
Tom, what's going on, brother?
oh, not a whole lot. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can.
Yep.
Okay, good. I never know. I'm running Ubuntu right now, and it's I really hate it.
Really? Why?
Well, mostly because I hate GNOME.
Oh, well, that would be, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I want to give it enough work to say I've used it enough, and so I've been running this as my media PC for a while. And
Treat GNOME like a Mac, and you'll be right at home.
yeah, I hate Macs.
I did too once upon a time. It wasn't until I spent like maybe 7 years on Linux and then tried Mac again that I'm like, oh, I get this now.
Well, I run a Mac in my office. I still hate it. But I got to say, though, using Debian KDE, actually, I really started to appreciate the dock. That was really cool. I love the docks.
Yeah.
So, but,
Well, definitely speaking of KDE, Rocco, adapt to KDE.
I know, dude. It's freaking awesome, ain't it?
It's fresh, buddy. It's fresh. I did a little bit of extra work configuring it last night on my setup, and it's beautiful.
You know, I like KDE for my media PCs, but there's really two things that prevent me from using it for production.
What?
And those are, number one, I hate how the icons look, particularly images on the desktop, because it just scales everything to this ugly square. And the second is I just find the file manager just way too slow and clunky.
Dolphin, really?
Yeah, I do. I hate it.
Man, I think Dolphin is like one of the best file managers out there.
There's a
it's too slow. It's extremely slow, according for me. And every Debian or every KDE computer I've ever used, it's like clunky.
I don't have a mask, okay, Simon. I don't have a mask, dude.
That's hardcore Linux.
Michael, you heard that, dude. You heard that.
Discourage the name of Dolphin.
He did.
I did. Sorry.
He
man.
did. He said
Hey,
he
I
used
speak
the
my
word.
mind.
He used the word dolphin and slow in the same sentence.
I did. I did.
blasphemy.
That's okay. I mean,
That is
we
so
all have our
ridiculous.
well, I mean, the thing is that I do so much in Cinnamon and with Nemo, and just Nemo just runs. It feels like it runs twice as fast for me. You know, I try and drag and drop a file over in Dolphin, and I get a delay, and then I get a would you like to and then I hit the button to don't show me this, and then it just seems extremely slow and clunky for me.
Oh my gosh, this is getting weirder and weirder.
We all need to get those. Then we should have a public meeting of Anonymous. That'd be awesome.
It's a bit of an oxymoron.
Yeah, right.
I know it is.
So, Dolphin is the best file manager ever.
I reckon
Yes,
Nemo is
I
better.
totally agree.
Was that
Oh,
favorite?
What about
no,
PC Man FM? I
No.
love PC Man FM.
No, dude,
PC
no.
Man FM cute is okay. PC Man FM old is not that good.
It doesn't beat Dolphin.
Yeah.
dude.
But Dolphin is the best.
Ranger all the way, yo.
But PC Man FM cute. But,
It's cool, but
but-
it's not Dolphin.
No, it's good, but it's not Dolphin.
It is.
Okay,
Dolphin
what's a list
is
of features that I can integrate within the next 24 hours? I'll do like a hack fest here. I mean, let me make.
The best feature would just be to import Dolphin. That would be the best feature.
and also while you're at it, use Kalen.
Yep. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, gone.
Charlie, you need a ridiculous hat to be on this show tonight.
Oh, do I? All right, I'll get one.
I gotta get one, man.
Yeah, right.
A miracle happened, guys. After a week of fighting with my hosting company, they're finally ready to install the SSL on my site.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know. Shocking. I've already made the decision. I'm changing because I can't stand them.
So earlier in the podcast we were talking about Ryan was talking about stuff and he mentioned about Deepin. So he says to me, you gotta try this operating system. You gotta try it. It's great. The desktop environment. So he says to me, go to Deepin, whatever. I forget what the website is. So I go there and it says, and the certs are bad, so I can't get on the site. It just happened to be when he suggests it, go check this out.
their HTTPS certificate expired. So it's like avoid, run. Do you want to turn back now?
Yeah, this is
And
unsafe.
that's kind of the challenge with the new web browsers. They're just getting it's like, yes, I understand what I'm doing. I want to go. Although a lot of times I can say that, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that.
Deepin's looking amazing. I don't know if anybody's ever checked it out. It
is gorgeous.
Yeah, I did a review on it actually. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, I did a quick look on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I run Deepin for about 2 months. I think it was quite okay, but I don't know. I got bored with it because it doesn't. You can't tweak it too much. It's one of those boring distros that just work, isn't it?
Yeah, the boring ones that just work, you know.
Who wants that?
No, but I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that, Colin, because like Budgie is the same way. Budgie just works. Yeah. It's got great defaults. It works great, but
I agree.
After a while, you can't customize it, and it's kind of like boring.
For me, the kind of thing with Deepin was that it's kind of quirky. Like it's gorgeous, but once you start tweaking it, once you start trying to change things, it gets a little weird.
I agree.
Like elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah, elementary's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it works great until you change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the hat, Charlie and Jonas. I mean, you know what's the best part of this is when you tell people to go get a silly hat, they're like, okay, hold on. Nobody said I don't have one.
This is actually my bike helmet that deflects all the magpies.
At first, I actually did say I don't have a hat, and then I was like, oh wait, no, I have better stuff than that.
Yeah. So, Robot says, isn't Deepin full of backdoors to China?
Well, that's where
I mean, it is a Chinese distro. So.
People are scared of it, but it is completely open source.
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
You could go look at the code. It's based on Debian, but it is a legitimate thing people worry about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll
I've
just
seen
put
it
in
in the comments about it, like, well, this is in China. Is it safe and that type of thing? And I get their concern because there's a lot of that type of stuff going on. But
Hello, Barbara.
Who did check
I
that
think
out?
Hey.
You made it.
And she's got a hat.
Oh,
I've got a hat.
right.
Barbara, what's going on?
Not much. I thought I would just kind of join you guys and see what's going on.
Awesome.
So
Welcome.
I am.
So you run Ubuntu Mate, right?
Yes, I am.
Fabulous.
I don't have my headset yet or my microphone. I'm just using my webcam and whatever my.
Hey, it's good enough.
Yeah, it works.
It's good enough. You got a hat. You're good.
Yep.
I have a confession. I am right now doing my work on Windows 7.
No, you're not. Really?
It's simply because this is where my files are for my store. So.
Wait, this is what's this?
Okay, man. I have a Windows 10 VM right now minimized.
Ryan, what is this guy's channel? This guy's channel is switched to Linux.
Yeah,
I mean, really?
Switch to Linux.
Hey, Rocco.
My sound
I need
breaking up.
Power. Thank you.
What?
Kick power. Thank you.
Kick power? Yeah.
Yeah, just give it to me. I was wanted to test something. That's all.
He's gonna kick me out.
I'm scared.
Get off Windows! I'll get off Windows. Well, if I twist this way, I'm on a Mac, so you know.
He did.
I won't.
So can I have a ban button then?
Look, we won't kick him. We won't kick him for using Windows. We might kick him for the Dolphin comments, but not for the Windows comments. Okay.
Was it Tom that actually did a check on backdoors for Deepin, or was it somebody else? Did you do that, Tom?
I did not.
No, it must have been somebody else then.
I remember that one. That was Chris
something.
Ware, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Was that Chris?
It sounds like something Quids Up or Chris Ware would do.
Quids Up, that's the one.
Oh, Quids Up.
Yeah.
And he said he found nothing untoward.
Well, I mean, you would hope that there would be nothing in there, but it does always make you think. Sorry, just does.
Yeah. Just look for something named "This is a backdoor. Don't delete this."
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sorry, but Quids Up is not a security analyst, so I'm going to go with
Well, I didn't say that was. I didn't say that was definitive.
Well, I'm saying like someone who doesn't know what to look for isn't an authority on whether it's there or not.
Yeah.
Correct. They
thought
could
he
do.
was I thought he worked in security. I thought he did security work. I thought that's what he does for a job.
Last
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
what he
Isn't
does
there
for a job.
another version of Ubuntu that comes out of China with some like Windows 7 GUI?
Yeah,
Chillin'.
Kylan.
Chilling.
Chillin', yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What
Or,
was it?
That
Brian
one.
Brian likes to
Yeah,
call
it's
it
not spelled like how it
something
sounds.
else.
It should be Kylan or yeah.
What do you call it?
yeah.
Chillin'?
Kylan's the one.
We had this argument on the podcast, so you'll hear that
You
one
guys
day.
will hear it next week. I'm so sick of it. I am so sick of it.
What do you use as a name? He's going to come out with a new operating system
I'm
called
so sick
Shoe.
of people. Yeah, I'm going to call it Shoe, but you have to pronounce it what? What did I come up with?
Oh, I forgot.
Like antacid. It'll spell Shoe, but it's called antacid. That's the distro.
And it
You
doesn't
gotta
matter
go
if it
with
makes sense.
Yeah, because we're just making up phonics in Linux.
I think you should take out your aggression and Rocket League.
Hey, Ubuntu can make up crazy names, so can we.
That's right.
That's right.
Ubuntu's an actual word that's used in a language.
So is chillin'. It's called Chinese. What are you talking about?
That's not a real thing.
It is a Mandarin word.
Chillin'? Did you just say chillin', Michael?
It's not pronounced chillin' in Chinese. They don't
Chillin'
go
like a villain.
chillin'.
It
Yeah.
is.
It'd be funny if they did.
It's a.
It'd be-
It is a group of Chinese people making a distro for Chinese people. Why do you think they picked a word that is a Chinese word?
Now all I can imagine is a group of Chinese people walking down the street speaking in English, and whenever the word comes across, they just say chillin'.
Chillin'.
Everything is in English, but then they say chillin'.
Hey, chillin'.
They have a
chillin'.
different, they don't use their typical written is not using Latin letters, obviously.
Not yeah.
But when you do programming and you do things that are like, you want search engine, at all. You want search engine optimization. You want it to be able to anyone to find it. You kind of have to use that kind of language, any kind of Latin letter language, in order to do it. And so there are versions of Japanese words that are in the Latin languages and Latin text. All in Chinese words and Korean words, they all have Latin forms of their words. They just don't use it normally.
So chillin' is Spanish for Ubuntu.
Yes.
It doesn't make any more
It's
sense.
Catalonian.
Which
Thank
all
you. It's a
means shoe.
subsection of Spain. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly make any more sense that way, but
It doesn't. Here's the thing.
How do you spell this distro's name? How do you spell it again? I'd never even heard of it till
It's
today. What?
K-Y-L-I-N.
K-A-Y.
K-Y. Just K-Y.
Okay, K-Y.
L-I-N.
Kylan.
And I would like you to look at the video where I talk about that distro and butcher the crap out of the name.
So that's why you went and looked it up. I got you.
Yeah.
I think Vine Linux is an actual Chinese-based distro.
We should check out Red Star Linux.
Red Star Linux, yeah.
Is that like an energy drink?
No.
No, North
that's
Korea
Red
number one.
Line of energy.
Oh.
Talking
Is that
about
our
energy.
next one?
Talking about energy drinks, they finally bringing back Jolt again.
Are they?
Yep.
Oh goodness.
Jolt Cola, the cola of the elite hacker.
Yeah, but Jolt was great, years ago because there was nothing else that was worse than Jolt. But now they got so many things that are way past Jolt. It's not even funny. So.
Well, actually, I worked with a guy who drank Mega Jolt.
Oh my
Which had
gosh.
twice the caffeine and twice the sugar. And the guy was like the most laid back person I ever met. Even after
We had those in Australia.
You know, she's talking about him in the past tense, right?
He's gone.
Mega jolted Deuce a little bit too much jolting.
Mhm.
There's,
But,
Rocco.
In
There's
China, there's a quillin, which is a mythical hooved chimerical creature. I'm not seeing the killin, though.
So here's the thing. I have literally no idea if it's true or not. This is what the developers of the distro said it's supposed to be said.
Uh-huh.
So my
Let's hear it.
point is, no, chillin' is what they say.
Oh, okay,
Well,
yeah.
Well, in the Wikipedia, which we all know is 100% always accurate.
That's absolutely.
Yes, this is the authority on it. It says it talks about it being a mythical beast, not a group of Chinese people walking down the road.
Makes sense.
True. It's probably not based on, it's probably not based on literally a group of Chinese people. What? It is. You know how when
do you see how ridiculous this has become because we can't pronounce things correctly?
No, just accept it. Either accept that you can't do it and say you're butchering it, or try to say it right. That's the only option.
No.
Yeah, that's.
I just won't use it or do a review on it until they change the name.
Well, you better.
I mean, okay. You found option 3. Good job.
You better not use Manjaro dust because that's meant to be pronounced Manjaro, I believe.
Right? Yeah.
No, it's
yeah. I've heard tons of people say it Manjaro.
That's because Spatry refused to say it properly.
Was he the originator?
He is the originator of butchering it. Yeah, yeah, totally.
When you have a cowboy hat, you
it
can
literally
pronounce it
says
any way you want.
It literally says on their website, Manjaro is named after Mount Kilimanjaro. It's not it's a Swahili mountain name. It's not a Spanish Kilimanjaro.
That's pronounced Chilimanjaro. Thank you very much.
I beat you to it. It is. So it's like people say these things. Like here's the biggest thing about this. I made a video about it, and I'm gonna have to make like 7 more. It seems. Explaining why you should say the name of a project the way they want you to, or at least attempt to do so. And it's to have a penguin mask on Simon. What?
What?
So the reason you do it is because it's a respect thing to the developers. They want you to say it this particular way, and to be respectful, you try to do it that way. Like.
Why don't they put audio files on the distro site?
Yeah. Many of them do. Many of them do.
Name of my distro.
Many do. Mate
that won't stop people from getting it wrong.
Yeah, Mate has a thing where they explain it through like they give you the text of how they want you to say it, and obviously the text is not that clear, unfortunately.
Yes. Raise your hand if you care how it's pronounced.
What is it? No. Raise your hand if you care about be respectful.
No, but I don't think it's even being. I don't think it's about being respectful either. Sometimes because it is about being respectful to a certain extent, but at some point, even Martin Wimpers has said that they originally said they're going to pronounce it mate, but you know what? They don't care if you pronounce it mate. Just use it.
Right. Although he's also recently said, I've changed my mind about that, and I would prefer that you say it mate.
But then he just changed and said he doesn't care yesterday.
If we're talking about respect, we need to make sure that people are not being rude when we pronounce it one way or another. Because I get that a lot, especially with GNOME. It was pronounced GNOME with a hard G, and you don't believe how many people
leave comments on my videos.
Was it Genome?
Genome. No? Not Genome?
No.
Yeah.
There are 2 pronunciations that are officially recognized by the GNOME project because they say it themselves.
Yep.
GNOME and GNOME.
GNOME
That's
and
it.
GNOME, correct. And
so if you say either one, it's okay.
Yeah, the original was GNOME. They do accept both for sure.
They have never said which one they prefer. They just say if the only reference we have of them saying it is their YouTube channel where they say both. That's it.
There was some documents on the corporate site dug deep that talked about the pronunciation that I was reading, and I used to link it
corporation.
What's that? It was a corporation. There is a foundation that governs the use of the copyright and things like that, and that's where I was digging deep because I do crazy stuff like that and actually read stuff.
I've looked for that for an hour before and never found it because
I actually have it directly linked somewhere on some of my videos because I used to leave comments back because I always say when I'm talking about it, I will pronounce it GNOME. You can pronounce it either way, but I will invariably have a ton of people like, you're pronouncing it wrong. It doesn't have a hard G. I'm like, no, that is an official pronunciation. And I
They
actually
do prefer
did at one
GNOME,
point in
yes.
time have that link. So I absolutely agree. There were both pronunciations.
It's an
I just-
obnoxious part of the Linux community
Correct.
that certain
Whoa,
people take
whoa,
way too
Ryan.
seriously, and it ends up driving new users away because we're so focused on
Ryan.
taking these words and changing them.
Ryan,
What?
Ryan, say what's in the chat.
What's in the chat? Gouet de Q.
How about that one?
I feel like calling it.
It's
GNOME
ridiculous.
No,
Well, would
look,
you rather
my
have
the presence of
desktop
Richard Stallman.
interface, or would
It's
you
fine
rather
to
be a little
correct
man in
people
the
and say things, but some of it's so ridiculous, and
There are
the
people who are rude
developers
about it,
don't
for
even
sure.
seem to know.
You know what a catch-all
Sometimes.
solution is? When you turn on your computer, like the boot up sound, it just screams whatever the name is. At you.
That is awesome.
Or just to keep it in your mind, it's just a list of people saying the names of the things.
Like
And
10
when you turn it off, it says it wrong. When you turn it on, it says it right.
This
Just
feels
so
like
when
the
you
Brady
when you
Bunch.
go to bed, you know what not to call it.
you talked about respect, Michael, and as far as my official position, if I'm talking to somebody, or if I'm talking on the podcast, or if I'm talking to Martin, I'm going to say Ubuntu Mate. But if I'm talking to my family in my house, I'm going to say mate, just because that's just the way it is. I mean, like that's not. I don't normally say
Hey, mate.
say it in that
I hear
way,
you, mate.
so I call it mate.
My point is that when I see people, like for example, there's people who say things. Robot Glock is asking, how is it pronounced? The window manager is Herbstluft. So there you go.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
It is
Tomato,
Herbstluft.
tomato.
It's a German word, and the other one is Guayadek. You're welcome. The first one is
That's the music player.
Yes, a music player. The other one is
Yes.
the window manager. So yes, there are words in Linux that are ridiculously hard to pronounce. But my
They're
point
just
is that-
ridiculous.
no, I mean mate
Yep.
is not ridiculous. It's 2 syllables.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Dead beef music player.
That's
That's what it's
ridiculous.
called.
You're correct. That is
How
totally
about
ridiculous.
slaughtered cow music player? I mean, it's silly.
Yeah.
Wait.
Little on the,
How about X noise music player? Oh, put noise in a music player. That'll be popular.
I think Mate sounds kind of a little on the classy side. Gnome sounds like you had a hiccup. You got a bubble in your drink or something.
Well, I mean, the GNOME thing is because it's using the English as in England version of saying that word.
Right.
So they're like, I understand why they're doing it. It's just that's the way they're doing it, and that project is from that country, so I get it.
Well, I mean, it's some
It
names
looks
are
like it
cool,
says bottle. Actually says freight train.
Right.
Only in the presence.
No, it's botlay.
Hard G's are required.
But
Botlay.
but like the point is that it's one thing to be in a private situation where you're talking to someone. It's another thing to make videos and specifically say you don't care about how something is pronounced, or to make fun of how ridiculous these names are. You could say, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess this up." And if you could tell me, if you're the developers, please tell me how you wanted to say it. I will absolutely say it properly for you. It's just it's hard for me to figure it out on my own. And there are a lot of times where I will try to read something and it's like I have no idea, and I will try to figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I'll ask them. Like for example, the Antergos. Like a lot of people say all kinds of weird things.
Yes.
Antigros is the most popular.
The anti-gross
There goes-
is weird. That's like I've heard people say anti-gross, and it's like I get how you butchered it, and you don't know how to say it.
I like
but
that.
why did you move the
This is
R?
not gross.
Like you moved
Well,
it.
the R is silent. See, it's
But chillin' he's fine with, where there's none of the letters that match.
No. I'm not a problem. I have no problem with Antergos. In fact, I made a video
gross.
on explaining how to say it because I'm a part of the team. You know, that developed
Actually,
the project
I watched that
making
video,
it.
and you were the video that I watched in how to say that and how to learn how to say that.
So like it's a Galician word, and it's specific to the person who founded Antergos. He picked a word from his region. So it's if you can't say it, it's like it's kind of just disappointing that you don't try. If someone tries and they just fail, that's one thing. but
Just
to never
say
try or to give them.
apologize. Jeez.
No, it's the people who don't care. It's the people who say that it doesn't matter. It's a respect thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
it doesn't.
here's
It
the
doesn't actually matter. No, but if you're making public things about it, you should at least give an attempt.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Michael. I make videos, or I used to make videos anyway, and I try to say things the way they're supposed to.
Everyone does.
I try to say them the way they're supposed to be said, but
Except
I don't.
For you're mocking
but I don't,
the point of.
But I don't
to try to
care.
say.
I don't care if somebody else butchers it and doesn't try to say it the right way. It doesn't really matter to me. That doesn't
I don't
do anything
comment
less.
on videos. I make a video explaining it. I don't comment on people's videos and say, "Well, actually, you should definitely say it this way."
Well, it doesn't bother me either way. If whatever people say about it, I only worry about what matters to me.
I'll tell you who's very good at pronouncing the names is Rob. He throws both names in most times when he makes videos.
There's a lot of people who will just like, I don't know how to say this, and just give like every iteration they can think of.
Yes,
one of those is right.
I've done that in a couple videos.
Like if you at least try and explain that you don't know, and if you did know that you would do it, but you don't know right now, and just like blurt out as many as possible. Like it could be blah 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 blah. And I understand why people are confusing mate because you look at the word and it doesn't seem like it has an accent attached to it. Like I understand why people have that problem.
Mate's understandable, you know.
So you don't have that little like apostrophe thing for the E or something. So everyone just goes, "That's mate."
That accent is used for Spanish words in English writing, but it was meant to be like it's a Spanish writing, so they don't use it in their language. So like I understand why they have why they did it, and
is that a cringe-free mask there, Alan?
I'd like to see him
cringe down.
I think he's wearing that because the show is starting to stink. So I think
I agree.
I think they should have done what Pop OS did. They should have put an underscore and an exclamation or something like that, and then it's called Mark.
It was very hard to pronounce pop bang underscore OS, really.
Well, Robot said we should start pronouncing Arch Merge as Arch Mirage to start a trend.
You're being disrespectful, Robot.
I guarantee you somebody
like that.
will call it Poop OS sooner or later. I guarantee you that'll happen.
I don't understand why we don't have problems pronouncing mint.
It's not mint. Minté.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, it's Mint. Linux Mint. Hey, Mint.
Linux Mind.
Linux Might.
Linux meat.
Linux.
Linux.
I feel like I'm watching the United Nations of Linux over here or something.
Great. He calls Linux every time.
Or the Brady Bunch or something.
Sorry.
So, Rocco,
Yeah.
in the project's waiting evaluation, which I told you about the what was it? Enzos.
Enzo OS.
Enzo OS.
Yeah.
There's also another one. There's also another one called Archman, and that's a new one. They're waiting for evaluation, and that's an Arch base with the Budgie desktop.
Oh.
Wow, Archman OS. Let's look at it.
I think it's a mixture of Budgie and GNOME. GNOME.
Well, Budgie itself is a mixture of that. It's based on top of.
I think, yes.
Yeah.
At least we can't butcher Budgie.
Well, for now.
Well, we could.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
No, it has been done. It has been done.
Well,
Bungie, for example.
Bungie. I heard somebody say that one day.
Budgie was
Archman.
a GNOME extension.
Archman.org's website is in German, I guess, or something. So.
Yeah, I translated it. I think yesterday or something.
There's
not bad.
Archman has XFCE, KD, Plasma, Mate, and LXQt. Or Qt.
Oh. QT.
That's
Qt.
like interchangeable. The Qt project prefers it cute. LX Qt doesn't really care.
Ah, isn't that cute?
That's
Qt.
You beat me to it, Al.
Qt.
That's good
Which
stuff.
distro do you think the Atari box is going to run?
I don't know, man. We were talking about
Do it
that.
all.
Me and Ryan were talking about it. You think we're going to be able to distro hop on it?
I think that's a challenge.
can definitely game
I have a little.
We'll have to put Hannah on it. Have to test that first.
Yeah, you'll have to test that out. Let us know how you make it out, huh?
I put a link in the chat. It's a little subject changer. It was a story I saw pop up on Curious Post. It was in one of the Facebook feeds about Richard Stallman's opinion on Microsoft's love for Linux. Anybody want to start that conversation going? Pretty interesting.
They don't like Linux.
Well, they love Linux, dude.
Canonical and Microsoft wanting to integrate the Azure crap into Kernel.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
That was on the list to cover in Destination Linux today, but we didn't get to it.
Every Azure server I've used, whether it be like a file server that's hosted in Australia on it or a game server, it's always been a laggy experience. Like Titanfall 1 used it, Rainbow Six is using it, and I think Star Wars Battlefront Beta was using it too, and all bad.
It's unfortunate.
Like Steam CMD server.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but there's other partnerships with Microsoft to get things done in Linux, so it's like, whatever, it's happening.
Well,
I don't think a problem with it.
Yeah, it's just one more attempt from Microsoft to try to dilute the community and kind of step it back a little bit because supposedly they're nervous about the threat of the community and the users growing. And I don't know that Microsoft's afraid of anything. So
no. Microsoft has given up. They still dominate the desktop and they still want to keep the desktop. But as far as the server goes, they are done. And they have admitted that they're done, basically. If you look at everything they've released as open source or supports Linux, it's because it helps us make money.
Yeah,
that's
what it's all about.
Like if you Azure works on Linux, well, that's because because Linux is the dominant by 90% of internet servers and basically all servers. So they're like, well, if we want a piece of it, we just have to accept it that they are dominant and we can't beat them. So we'll just support them and say, hey, you can use this great thing you like, but you can also have Microsoft's backing.
Wasn't there a vulnerability recently discovered in the Linux backend of Windows 10? The bash part of. I'm trying to remember exactly how it was phrased, but I think there was a vulnerability that was discovered in it, wasn't it?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. You're probably talking about the Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, that one, the Windows subsystem, which kind of is on par with what you're describing, where it's one of those if you can't beat them, join them mentality. Trying to grab some market.
That's what they did with Mono. They couldn't sue them, and they're like, "Oh well, we'll just buy the company that makes Mono."
Well, that's different because Mono, the people who made Mono, kind of hated the Linux community because the Linux community hated Mono. So
good reason.
Not really. It could have been better, and it could have been implemented. It could have been it could have been adopted. It could have been improved. It could have been, they could have re-engineered it to the point where .NET is not that important. We could have had Mono instead of .NET, but instead we bashed on them. Well, not we. I didn't do it, but people bashed on Mono all the time and say, it's terrible. Why even bother? People shouldn't make their applications based on it because it's a dead framework or whatever other thing. And then all of a sudden, Microsoft buys them because, well, the only competition to .NET in that space is Mono. So if they release .NET as an open source tool, they make business partnerships with Red Hat to make .NET work on Linux. The only competition they have is the open source aspect is Mono. So when they buy Mono, that open source competition for that framework and all the applications based on .NET are gone. So we have an opportunity to provide an open source competitor, which Mono was, and then we bash them for it.
I'm going to go, everybody.
Cricket.
No, I think it's more because there's not enough developers in the Linux community who would be willing to step up and try and work on it, which is one of Brian Lunduke's biggest complaint about Linux and even just the way these different distros operate in terms of, it's too, and I think I've mentioned this before in a previous Friday night, but it's too divided. You have too many people working on different projects as opposed to having everybody work and contribute and improving on one So, perfect example there where there was an opportunity. And yeah, I mean, Mono, I mean, it's hard to compete with Microsoft when it's being done in people's free time, but it could have been nurtured and grown, and well,
I mean, there was years. There was like a decade with Mono opportunity. People just shunned it. And I understand why they did it. It's just, I don't think it was a valid point.
It's sad though.
But it's more like there's issues where the idea that people shouldn't be making things on their own and like separate projects and stuff. I don't like that idea, and I think that's terrible because otherwise Debian wouldn't exist, and otherwise Arch wouldn't exist, and all these other things. It's like there are many benefits for these things to be done separately. If you have a disagreement.
Store in the app stores too. I mean, most of those are done by indies, like indie developers, indie gamers. I mean, I've tried my hand at indie developing before, as well too. I mean, without those kinds of platforms, you either go work for a company or you're nobody.
Well, yeah, there's multiple things that makes the idea of saying everybody should work together on one thing. No one's going to agree to everything that's ever done unless there's like an actual a top person at the head saying you do this and that's it. There's no debate. And otherwise, it is just going to. In the open source community, that's like the anti community. That's the anti open source. So like that would never work. So that the argument is kind of pointless because a lot of the stuff that makes Linux great wouldn't exist at that time. I just don't like. Go ahead.
I'm seeing that comment a lot though. It's like, why are they not working together and not reinventing the wheel? Like video editors, you've got Shortcut and OpenShot. And a couple others around, and they're all pretty basic. And I've heard it before on several people. They like combine the effort and make one really good, awesome program.
I think part of the problem with that is, having one awesome program with a bunch of different people working it, you start dealing with egos, and then everything starts to fall apart. So you just have all these little bits here and little bits there, and it's like if you look at the basic using like OpenShot and so on, if you're really into photography, you're going to go to something better than that, and that's the thing, And there are other alternatives, like I use Darktable and I use Raw Therapy, and that's it. And I don't think I've opened up OpenShot maybe once or twice because it's really no better than using photos on a Mac or what is it in Windows? You've got like Photo Viewer or something. And
OpenShot's is a video editor.
Oh, okay. What's the other one?
Movie Maker for like a
no. In Linux.
There's like Shotwell.
Shotwell.
Okay, that's
Shotwell. That's it. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I don't do video. I do.
So that there's a lot of for every application like in like I guess industry, I don't really know what you call that, but like genre or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's always these different projects that have different opinions of things, and some things do some things better, and other things better. So
and also I think you have to look at the way people think. Some applications work better for the way some people do work and the way their minds work than other applications, and that's the other thing. And I think that really choice is the best way because no two people work the same way or think the same way.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think the biggest argument against having everybody join together, though, is what ends up happening is you end up with only one product. And when there's only one product and it goes away, you have serious problems. And that's
plus when you have one product, there's no competition, which doesn't force it to get better. And that's what forces a product to get better is competition.
I mean, I just wrote and developed and designed an entire book that is going to be published next week entirely on Linux. And, the writing I did all through LibreOffice because you could do everything flawlessly. To do the ebook, I actually had to bounce between multiple different programs, but they were all open source Linux programs. So it's cool that some of them are better at some things and some are better at others, and it was not really an inconvenience to jump back and forth.
Yeah, there's many applications that are fantastic and solve most problems. There are some that are not, there are some application genres that are not practical to replace, and that's unfortunate. So until those things, that's the biggest issue with getting people to switch. Is like there are a few specific custom applications that are like very, their particular job oriented and they need it. So like that's kind of unfortunate. But as far as like getting people to work together, I mean, there's things that you shouldn't want to work together. The video editor is an interesting concept because like OpenShot and Kdenlive are for very different types of people. So Kdenlive is for people who want to do like more robust editing, and OpenShot is for the more basic, easy movie maker style where you just cut and slice some things out, move them around, and things like that. So like if you had just Kdenlive or just OpenShot, there would be limitations for one side at least. Like at least one side will have those problems. So overall, it's good that there are splits. I mean, there doesn't need to be 7 video editors, but there is. But overall, it's a good thing that people have different ideas and they express them and they figure them. Like they branch off and do things themselves, because otherwise, we'd still be in the same boat of DEs if that didn't happen.
Yes.
Everybody has all these different DEs. They're like, these are great. These are like so many great options. Like those would not exist without the original breakover. So like when in 2011 when Unity was created, GNOME and KDE Plasma were the only options. Like basically, if like in the sense of like XFCE was there and LXDE was there too, but as far as like GNOME 2 goes, XFCE and GNOME 2 are basically the same thing. Like they were very similar. Like they're not a fork of each other or anything, but they're very similar. And XFCE had some benefits, but like it wasn't that much.
I think Mate was born out of a so-called hatred for Unity and GNOME Shell, if not mistaken.
It was not.
Sort of.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't really care about
that.
Wasn't
Cinnamon though, for sure? Wasn't Cinnamon created out of that?
No, no. It was made. Cinnamon was made because they wanted a Windows-like interface based on the GNOME 3, the GTK3 base.
Well, I'm glad they decided to do that, because that's why I use Cinnamon, because for me it's exactly the way I work.
Okay, yeah, it's fine for a lot of people. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's the issue of, earlier in the Destination Linux Telegram group, there was a conversation about like people said that they hated Ubuntu and Canonical, and I was like, why do you hate them? And they gave a bunch of reasons. Like those are reasons to not like to use them, but not to hate the company that made them. And they were like, well, why did they pick Unity? Why didn't they just pick Mate or Cinnamon or like other things? Like, because those didn't exist. Like those weren't things.
But
like,
Michael, do you really think they hated the company, or was it just Ubuntu?
Well, they said that. They said that.
All right.
So it's like, there's so many different things that benefited from them doing this. Like because they saw the choice being 2 options, and they didn't like either option, and they were like, well, we'll make our own. And the other people are like, we don't like your decision. We don't like those other 2 options either. We'll make our own. And then we get all these great things becoming and these great things being made. Like you look at LXQt wouldn't have existed without the break of like LXDE does not want to go to GTK3. And Razor Qt, it was like, well, we don't want to continue. We can't continue like on our small project, but would it be great if we just combined and like LXQt becomes a thing? And they did that. Like that's great. XFCE is still not GTK3. No, Mate.
Do you know how I pronounce XFCE?
XFCE.
XFCE.
X-Face.
Which is the proper pronunciation. If you look up the Mandarin word cuckoo nest.
Yes, you come up with X-Face.
X-Face. That's a villain in the next Batman movie, I think.
There was actually a video where this guy, I forgot who it was, but there was a video guy made a joke about, he was like making fun of different videos. He was making fun of different projects and saying like, why do you care about this thing? Like these issues, or like this like look at this project, XFCE, or as the developers like to call it, X-Face. And he was like mocking it or whatever. And I responded with, normally I don't really want to respond to this thing because I don't really care. But when you say the developers want you to say X-Face, and when the developers have a page on their website specifically saying, do not call it X-Face, there's no A in the name of this project, please don't. It's like if it literally says there's no A, please don't call it X-Face, And then
That-
he said that the developers want you to call it that. It's like, no,
That
they
sounds
don't.
like an app. Sounds like an app for like a camera app. I use Xface versus
No.
GVCView,
It's Linux Mint's fork of Snapchat.
Well, McKeel, you're clearly passionate about pronouncing things correctly.
Whoa! It's Miguel.
Wait.
Thank you.
Let's talk about passion for a second. I love watching Tom's videos. The other day he was doing one, and you were getting so wound up. Tom, I love you to death, but you were hurting my ears. You were yelling.
you know, I get that comment more than any other duplicate comment, and I gotta work on a strategy to get passionate without killing people's ears. And
Well, because you not only do you get loud, but you get so higher pitched.
Yeah.
And you're screaming like that. And it's like, oh my God, it's
Yes.
blaring.
So here's my
fix for
solution.
that would be to edit it in Ocean Audio or Audacity with
the problem is they're
high-pass
live.
filter and limiter.
Yeah.
No, there's a live solution too. You just do this a lot, and it makes it much easier.
Actually, I did experiment with that recently. Where'd I do it? Recently, I knew I was going to get loud, and so I backed away, and it actually worked. So I'll have to do that.
But one night, didn't your next door neighbors knock on the wall and say, "Yo"? Right? I remember one night I was watching.
Yeah, they do. Well,
I heard
no, they
knock
didn't.
on the
Did
wall,
they?
They say something like,
Yeah, right?
because
No,
they
right?
only speak
Right?
Russian.
I heard.
Really?
It. You speak Russian?
They knocked on your
They
wall.
only speak Russian.
As
comrade.
my I must break you.
Quiet down for Mother Russia.
As my grandmother is famous for saying YOLO.
I will kill American Linux.
I actually because of the neighbors, I actually included, because this book that I'm working on is a parody, I actually wrote a quote in Russian on the back dedicated to the Russian neighbor.
I will kill him. I will kill switch to Linux. I will kill him.
Must use Windows, yeah.
Does he ever knock on the door and go like, I must break you?
Well, actually, he sends his son over because his son does speak English.
And what's he
which
say?
he's only done once, and that's actually
Well, his
why
son
I'm
says, "I will
obsessed
kill
with
Switch."
That's I'm thinking.
No, he's talking about
like
the
the
band
Bond
Kill Switch
villain.
Engage. He just likes Kill Switch Engage.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Bond.
I can't remember the guy that used
Bond.
to do all these stock reports. I still see. I guess he's on one of the channels still, but he always has these sound effects thing. And I was starting to think maybe you got to get a soundboard set up where you can start doing the sound effects with it.
Come on,
I
Mad
do my
Money.
own
I know he
sound
does the
effects.
flames. You do the flames, Tom, and all that.
I would
stuff.
love to have a soundboard. I would
That
love it.
sound effects that go right.
I should look into that. I should look into that.
Wasn't there a open source plugin for OBS that did that?
I don't know. Was there?
I think it was on
Rocco. Rocco's using it apparently.
I don't know. I'll have to dig it up, but I definitely saw someone use it. It was on this on-screen display where you actually clicked on stuff and it interacted with OBS.
That would be so awesome.
And it was on GitHub. So I'll dig it up.
What are you playing, Michael?
He's playing a Russian game.
You have a soundboard, don't you?
He's playing Russian game.
Kill him.
Hey, there's a tutorial on YouTube for OBS soundboard and hotkeys.
Oh, there you go.
I'll have to look at it.
Did you guys see they're bringing out the Commodore 64 next year?
The what?
Yeah, they're
we enter a
rebadging the
time
Commodore
warp? I mean-
64 and releasing at the same time as the Atari box.
I almost
The
broke
Atari
the song right
box,
there.
Yeah.
Oh, look who's up. Yeah, Michael.
Well, there's this too, and believe it or not, this hard to get thing runs Linux.
Oh yeah, it's a scam on eBay. They buy all the copies. Like a lot of the stores over here, which is the computer stores, EB Games, which is actually owned by one of the American mobs. They'll order 5 units into a store, and of course it sells out in like a half an hour. And then they're like, "Oh, you've got to pre-order it." And they've actually had the situation in Australia that people are pre-ordering it, going into the store, and they still don't have enough units to supply people.
Or
They
GameStop
don't
likes
pay
to
for it.
sell in bundles. Like, we'll sell you this kit and 50 other things if you buy it together for $500.
Well, some people have their wives camp out all night at the store to get one.
And some people do that. Look at that. Runs Linux, supposedly. Well, we know the original one did. They're saying this one was created by the same group, so very likely.
Why not just get a Raspberry Pi and
You could, but there's nostalgia here because it looks like the original one. See, I grew up and this was my
yeah,
console.
so 3D
this is the first game
box
system.
and buy a knockoff controller.
Listen, quit killing my dream here, buddy.
Oh, you want the shiny box?
I kind
I
of
wanted
remember
the shiny
during my
box.
Suck it into
childhood, that
marketing,
box was
I
much
see.
bigger.
Yeah, it was. It was way bigger. This thing
Yeah,
is smaller
and
than a
Ryan-
book.
We'll know if you really grew up with it if you start taking the games and you're going blowing it until you get them to work.
Yeah.
Well, my
I
wife was
play
Remember the
playing
instruction
Street
booklet
Fighter.
specifically saying not to do that.
Yeah.
My wife was playing Street Fighter, and I thought for a second she was going to throw the controller on the ground, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
oh, it
gosh.
brings back so many memories.
Controller age.
Yeah.
I play a Russian game with Stalin box.
That's right. See, if I end up dead one day, you know why. It's the
Yes,
Russians.
it's the Russians. They did it.
It was not me, no.
You expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. They expect you to die.
So just look, Tom. Just tell them that you run Rosa as your operating system. They'll be fine with you then, right?
Okay, all right, okay. I'll let them know that.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, Rocco. All good things must come to an end, and it's late here, man. I gotta
All
go.
right, brother.
Yeah, it's
I'll
getting
catch you
late.
Thanks
later.
for having me, guys.
Yep.
You're right.
And also
See
head
ya.
out and go to bed.
See you, Jonas.
Catch y'all
Yeah.
later.
Take care.
So, Charlie, what do you run, man?
Running Debian at the moment.
Oh.
Well,
I don't
it's
know
the
if I
only
could do
thing
that,
that
dude.
was working with 2 screens and the audio interface.
I don't know if I could do that, man.
Let's pronounce it Debian.
Well, it's
I got
funny
a
because
new
you
toy the other day though.
pronounce it Debian, I pronounce it Debian, so ooh, look at that.
I think most people pronounce it Debian, from what I've heard. From what
Well,
I've heard.
it was developed from Debbie and Ian.
And
They
Ian,
were husband and Ian, yeah.
So,
that graphic
do you have that
graphic
in?
cards for the Steam OS box I'm building.
Oh,
inside
okay.
PlayStation case.
The one you showed us last week.
Yeah, in the peasant box.
Nice.
Pleb Station.
I'm still waiting on the power adapter for it, and then I can fire it up.
Nice.
Ryan had to go. Rude.
Yeah, Ryan had to go. So did Jonas. So
They must catch a Russian train, yes.
Well, he's getting there fast, isn't he? He's Russian.
he's Russian.
He's Russian.
Carmack,
guys,
this is scary. You do a better Russian accent than you do Italian. I hate to tell you that.
Are you talking to me? You talking to me?
I'm talking to you, buddy.
You talking to me? Well, I do different accents. I do Arnold. Good to be here.
Yeah, I like that one too.
No, I can do the Arnold pretty well. I'll be back with a 9mm Uzi, and then we move. I'll be the spread, no sound for the people.
That's good. They're making a Terminator 6, by the way. Get to the chopper. See, they should see Burger King should get that phrase and say, "Get to the Whopper."
Yeah.
Get to the Whopper.
bring the fries.
And we
Bring
do
the
a good Rodney
fries.
Dangerfield. Hey, I'm browsing here. We're browsers.
Yeah, we're browsing. Hey.
I'm waiting for the Rodneys to start.
We can do a Southern Linux. Welcome to Southern Linux with Rocco with the crazy hats.
Yeah.
I find that offensive.
Yeah, fancy that. Yeah.
Why are you making fun of my accent? I don't appreciate that.
Well, kiss my grits, sugar.
Well, that is fine being it. I have the vapors.
You got
This
vapors?
conversation has totally gone downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
It used to be serious, for crying out loud.
Well, it started with the hats. You know.
Okay,
true.
you can blame me.
We went to hat, then we went to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Then we
There's a
went to
little bit
Italy.
in between there.
Then we went to New York. Hey, you talking to me? Hey, there's a fly in here. I'm trying to kill it. Hey, I got it. Got you.
He was terminated.
Very New Yorker.
That's right. That's one for Rocco. Thank you. He was terminated.
Why are all the Ruskies OS is super lame? Well, actually, Rosa's not lame. Rosa's actually pretty good. Although I don't think I would ever use it. It's actually not that bad of an operating system. Of course, it does have a KDE version and a GNOME version, so.
I think it uses Vodka DE or something. I don't know.
What's that, Mike?
I was saying there's a lot of weird distros. It's like you can just pick it. You can just randomly search Linux and then Linux.
Well, the Hannah Montana I heard years. I cracked a joke. I was talking to Rob one day. We did a live, and I said, "I'm waiting for Tony Montana Linux, man. I mean, why not? Say hello to my little kernel."
Don't get high on your own hard drive.
Well, Colin had said to be earlier about Enzo OS, and then that Archman.
Enzo, that's an Italian name, Enzo.
Yeah, so I have to check both of them out.
Enzo, made in Italy, Enzo OS. He uses the calamari installer. Hey.
Yeah.
That was too easy.
It was.
Have you guys seen some of the knockoff GoPro action cameras from China?
No.
I got one actually.
Oh yeah.
Does it work?
Is that one of the SJ 1000 series chipset one?
I don't know. Let me have a look.
I saw a review of one today. Yeah, very similar. This one was a DB power, and it actually works as a 4K webcam when you connect it up to a PC, and it works in Linux. And it doesn't need any software.
Yeah, I
to
don't know if you can do that with this one.
Some do. Some of the SJ ones do support USB live streaming. So I'm actually going to order one. It's $53 American at the moment this weekend.
Yeah, this one here has the fisheye lens. So on. The audio is crap. There's actually a way you can actually get in here and solder on a better microphone jack rather than use the integrated, which I might actually do. The camera's good, other than the audio sucks. So actually, I do have several videos on my channel or use that camera, so you can see what it looks like.
That's exciting. Buy a new camera, and the first thing I want to do is solder on a mic. Hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I paid like $40 for the thing, so it's worth busting out the solder to make the audio sound good because the audio sounds crap.
You know what I bought years ago? It was about 5 years ago, maybe 4. You remember the flip video? It was made by. They were like $250, maybe $300. I shopped online because my cousin was going to Italy and wanted a simple point and shoot camera. And you just power, hit the red button, and that's it. I bought 2 of them, one for him, one for me. I think I paid like $70. And
they call them click and shoot.
Yeah, I mean they were refurbs. I took a chance, but they both worked pretty good, and they were like original. And they recorded in full 1080p audio and video, high quality sound. And that's the camera I use in my vlogs when I'm driving in the car. The short vlogs.
Yeah.
Now the lens is fixed; you can't really adjust it. It's kind of a close up, but it works. It's great picture and sound, and for less than $100, I think you can still find them like on eBay or Amazon. They're wonderful. They like fit in your pocket. When you're done, you just flip up the USB adapter, plug it in the computer, done. Awesome camera. It still is. It was and it still is. So
yeah, I've got this one. It's a click and shoot. I got it on my first trip to Japan, Panasonic Lumix, and it's really great.
Sometimes simple is best. So
Yep. Well, I don't actually have any click and shoot cameras anymore. Like with your cell phones having the cameras, I don't do a whole lot of photo. The photos that I take are with the cell phone camera, so it's like I don't have a use for.
I use it sometimes,
standalone camera.
But it seems like the external cameras in general tend to perform better.
Oh, they do.
In general, if you want to get picky, I'm not that picky. But I mean, some of the phones, like the LG starting with the G4 is probably a good camera. The
The
latest
G4
iPhones
camera was good.
Yeah. The new Samsung is pretty good camera
I've got
wise.
an old Samsung and it's crap on the photo department.
Really? Well, I
you
got
know,
I got the
it was
Samsung
$100.
Galaxy 4. It still works pretty good. So but of course the battery life in cameras in phones. Once you start using all the goodies, though, I mean like the battery life sucks. That's one thing that hasn't changed in 25 years is battery technology in these devices. When you think about it, it's really, really awful. So I'm waiting for nuclear powered batteries to fix all that.
Well, it's funny. Like, I've actually got a laptop that lasts 11 hours on battery. Yeah,
nice.
Both of my cameras only last an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's these phones. I mean, they're adding more. They're packing more and more in with technology like a miniaturization.
And I think that's why they only last a day. I mean, if you look at the old,
if you're
Nokia,
lucky, yeah.
They were. Look how the old flip phones, how long those would last. You'd go days with that.
Well, because you never went on the web with that, too.
Right, and all you had was, if you did have a camera, it was like...
I don't know. The first couple phones, cell phones that I had, one of them was a flip phone. The batteries didn't last long at all. In fact, I had...
Oh, mine did.
I couldn't even leave it on. It would only stay alive for like 6 hours if you left it on.
I still got a Sanyo flip. I just keep it for like, memories. A Razor. And I think the original Nokias had decent battery life. This is before,
the original Nokias,
Apple.
like the 3000 series, they would last a week to a week and a half.
It's funny.
I never went on the web. Yeah.
My dad's, my dad always got our kind of hand-me-down phones, and he's still carrying a flip. I don't remember if it's either a Sanyo or a Razor.
Yeah.
That phone is 14 years old, and it's the original battery in it. He was just talking about that in Florida.
Wow. You remember the Motorola StarTAC?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember talking to a guy in Florida. It had to be 96. I'll never forget it. I saw him with this cool looking phone. It reminded me of Captain Kirk. And he flipped it. I said, man, that is, because like 20 years. That is so cool. What is that? Oh, it's a new StarTAC. It was like $700. But at the time, I'm like, that phone was. I bought one like 6 years later. This was before smartphones, but that was a cool looking phone back then.
I had a little Sanyo. It was a tiny thing, and they had two little. The speakers came out the side. They looked like little round boom boxes.
Okay.
And after
remember the phone from the Matrix that like flipped down?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
That sold like hotcakes in Australia. I don't know about overseas.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. The slider phone or whatever it was called.
Yeah, like it was on the movies, and then for the next 2 months.
Okay, who remembers bag phones and brick phones? Because I had both of those too.
I had both of those.
Yeah. My first phone was a half a brick phone. It was by NEC. Yeah. That was, I could make a phone call. I can soften some steaks with it, just hammer it down.
Yeah, because I had the wide one at first, and then they came out with the slim one. That was holy.
Well,
cow.
if you remember the shows like Miami Vice with with the bag phones in the car, and with the 3 watts.
Well, that's what I did. I converted years ago. I had converted my bag phone to a permanent install, and then I still wanted a portable, so I got the brick phone, and they had a floor mount you could put in there. So I had 2 phones in the truck.
Yeah, I remember those days, man. Yeah,
I started rewatching Stargate, and it's interesting how their phones, through all the filming, changed, and their LCDs.
Sure, yeah.
Like in the first couple of seasons, it was like the Nokia phones. Then they got the flip ones, and then they got normal ones. And same with the LCDs, they were like these chunky CRTs, and then they went to the early LCDs, and then they went to like the new modern ones.
I mean, to be
marks
fair,
the 10 years of the iPhone started 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Michael?
I was saying, to be fair, the show was started in like 96 or 97, so those were like around the time.
Well, it's a reflection of the times back then, but sure.
Like
I remember
the Stargate looks super tech, and you look at the computers like,
yeah,
not really.
Nah.
Like you could fake. If you can fake a Stargate, you could fake a better computer.
You would think, but I guess it was cheaper just to use the real ones, right?
Yeah,
probably.
So
well, look
going
at the
to
Star
the-
Trek TV series, so yeah.
Yeah, I hope that's good. I haven't watched it, but I hope it's good.
I really
Discovery
don't like
is okay. Spoiler: they killed off the first captain. Her name was, what's her name? The actress Michelle Yeoh. And if you ever heard of her, I'm watching it. I'm getting into her character, but they knocked her off, I guess, in the part 2 of the pilot, and that ticked me off. So just I started getting into this chick, they whack her, But so I'm probably not going to watch it anymore.
There's lots of reasons I hate it. I
just
really
personal. Yeah, I mean, it looked great. It's different. I guess they all are in a way. You look at the original, the Next Generation was the Voyager, DS9 was really different. Enterprise, but Discovery I think will probably succeed. It feels like a big budget feature film.
It feels too much like the new movies.
Well, I think that's why it'll work. But
I'm
not going to watch it anymore. Yeah.
The new movies I hate.
I like the first two. The last one, Beyond, was beyond me. I don't know why they did that one, but that story.
One of the movies, didn't they get in a firefight in the first 5 minutes, and then in the next 15 minutes the ship is destroyed? It's like, how is this?
That was Beyond. That's in the third one. Yeah.
I was so bored on the third one. I was like, I got through half of it. And I was like, this is.
The story didn't work in Star Trek Beyond. I mean, that scene where the Enterprise gets destroyed by these millions of nanobots, nanoships. I thought that was cool, but I couldn't get it. The first, I thought the first reboot back in 2009, I thought was tremendous. They did a good. It was J.J. Abrams. Just called Star Trek. And then Star Trek Into Darkness, I thought was a nice homage to Star Trek 2, Khan, The Wrath of Khan. I thought that was well done.
I hated that.
I like that.
I mean, it was a nice progression from the first. It wasn't original, but
he was. They made him worthless and a bad guy that you liked and had sympathy for. It's like you kind of missed the point of Khan right there. Oh, also, by the way. Hey, why do you have starships? You literally have a teleporter that goes to planet. Who cares about a ship anymore?
Well, that's
but it looks cool.
In the new Star Trek. It's like, oh, I've got a jetpack out and investigate this thing. It's like,
right.
Why
you've
got a shuttle?
No, I mean, when they have a technology that makes a ship obsolete, and then they have a ship battle,
Look, I like the ships because they run on Linux. No, I don't
know. If they did, then I would just completely ignore that. The nerdy.
Maybe we should ask the producer. Are you running Linux behind the board there? Maybe they are. I don't know.
Maybe we should ask them how to pronounce it.
Star
in Klingon. Linux in Klingon is Gluk. I don't know. I'd run Gluk.
The only thing I actually know how to say in Klingon is Kapla.
Kapla.
Yeah, that's it.
That means victory or good luck.
Success.
Kapla.
Yeah.
Success. Kapla. Sounds like a cake. I'll take a slice of kapla.
If you have to look at Patrick Stewart as one of the best actors ever because he can do those ridiculous words seriously and you believe that he's actually saying something.
Yes.
He was on NPR radio last year or so ago from New York, I think. And the host asked him to read the lyrics to a song with this, upper crust, classy British accent or whatever. And so the audience had to guess it. I'll never forget it. But he says, this is the lyrics of a famous song. She was a fast machine. She kept her motor clean. She was the best damn woman I'd ever seen. Can you guess the song? AC/DC song. She shook me all night long. She had the best damn engine I'd ever seen, with those knocking me out with those American thighs. But the way he said it, so the host says, "What's the difference between British and American thighs?" He says, "Oh, the difference is huge."
Oh boy.
That was cool.
Actually, I forgot who it was. I mean, I forgot I think the song was. They had. People do different. Christopher Walken would sing.
Oh, he's another character.
He would speak I think he was like a Lady Gaga song or something.
Star Trek, and then Star Trek Into Darkness I thought was a nice homage to Star Trek.
Hey, Carl's got a little stream going.
I like that.
I like. I mean, it was.
Okay, guys.
Yeah. he's been terminated.
Instant replay.
He'll be back.
He will not be back.
But there's I like those videos where they have people who are like very proper accents saying like ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
There's that guy on his trailers that's read stuff out for people. He's got a really cool voice.
Mm-hmm.
I remember after Schwarzenegger won the governorship, they did a spoof of him on NPR like years ago. And you know how you have to do all these press conferences with the press. So how did the joke go? Welcome to California. This is not meet the press. This is press the meat. It's classic. Classic.
Well, they had one video that Yoda was doing a GPS.
Robert liked that one.
Ages ago, and it was quite good. And he's like, "Turn left at the dark side, you shall." And that was the whole like
turn side dark.
Yeah, through the whole GPS was like him just saying random stuff.
That would be the most infuriating thing for the GPS to have Yoda being say backwards, like turn left.
There was a joke,
15 miles ago.
There was there was Morgan Freeman doing a GPS voice.
He's done a good one too, yeah.
Now when you get to 2 miles up the road, stop at the stop sign and make a left, or if you want to, make it right. It really doesn't make a whole bunch of a difference. But I could see Morgan saying it because his voice is so calming, you know. Now when you go in circles, just grab the gun and blow your brains out.
There was also one where Snoop Dogg did one. It's like, turn right. Oh, yeah.
Nice hat, Carl.
Yeah.
I love it. He's backing me up, you know.
He's got the Nashville hat going on. Very good, man.
Right. Mm-hmm. But out of the whole bunch, he's the one that looks the most natural in his hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
It fits. It fits.
It actually fits.
Well, he listens to Katy Perry, so I figure that's a kind of, I don't know, but that's kind of how he would wear, you know.
Everyone is crazy about a shark-dressed man.
Right.
I did wear my best shirt.
Very good.
Yep.
Classing up the place, man. Make me look.
He's dressed in black and blue.
Proper.
Here we go.
I'm
dressed in advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Not that you would advertise or anything.
Yeah, I would never do that. That's shameless.
It's pronounced. How do you pronounce it? Tux Digital.
It's funny how his advertisement matches his last word.
Yeah, it always is his last word. Carl, you were preaching. You were preaching gnome on the comments, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were. You were preaching it, man.
No, I didn't. Tonight, you mean?
No, on the YouTube comments of last week.
Oh, maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe they need a T-shirt that says it's mate, not mate.
Maybe.
This is how you pronounce it.
I need to make. I'm gonna make a video series of like, just here's a bunch of things that are weird, and this is how you say them. Like what you do with this information is up to you. Here you go.
But you would get all kinds of comments on how it was said and what.
I get comments all the time. It don't matter.
Like, I remember one night, English Bob or whatever he goes by his channel now, you know, he ran into a rant on how you say Linux names, and it just cracked. He went into adult mode, but it's Ubuntu. It's not Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Mate, it's Ubuntu bleeping. You know, but he went on and on and on. It just cracked me up. Of course, he was half wrong, but you know.
Well, he
that
came in
was
here the
something.
one night, and it wasn't quite family friendly.
Yeah.
He apologized because that's the way he is. I mean, that's the way most of his videos
Yeah,
are.
I mean,
so.
he's totally genuine.
Yeah.
There was another rant where I think he pulled the video where there was a lot of curse words, but I guess he had a problem with his Linux desktop and those bleeping video drivers. What the bleep is wrong with the bleep in Linux community? You got all these off bleeps in here, so why can't the Linux developer just get off their bleeping arses and just pick one and fix I mean, it was beautiful, you know.
Yeah, just look at some of the titles of his videos, and that says enough.
Yep.
He's-
Yeah, you know,
Linux,
developers love
yeah.
to get yelled at on YouTube.
Oh, they love
I
it.
had,
Yeah,
I had
makes it
one
work
comment from a person, and they added up how many times I swore on one video, and he had like a tally, and he's like, "Oh, you said this word this many times, this one, this one,"
Oh my gosh.
and he's like, "Oh, you should add a counter to your videos." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's too much."
Yep.
Like the South Park
They
thing.
should just
We're
they
allowed
should
to
just
say this.
make
We're gonna say
something
it
called
100
Bleep
times.
OS. Bleep OS. It's full of bugs. Hey.
Yeah, isn't that Google OS?
Wow. Hey, we did an article on Destination Linux tonight. It was from bleepingcomputer.com.
They're actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are.
They have some good like how to remove spyware stuff on it.
Oh yeah, they actually in their forums they'll give you hands-on help, and you just go like it'll take a couple days or so before they respond like in full depth, but you give them a list of logs and stuff, and they'll give you like a massive amount of help.
I remember going out to one.
And then you install Linux, and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I went out to one guy's computer years ago, and he had Windows 98 on it, and it was just a computer that they had in the lounge room that had the modem on it, and it was running ICS to share the internet, and it had like I think it was Adware SE, and it picked up like 5,000 bits of spyware.
That makes sense.
After I just saw 20, I like pulled the modem and like let it go for ages, and took a screenshot of it and took a photo actually with a photo camera, and then I just wiped it, put Slackware on it, shared the internet for the whole house, and just booted it up. I think he had like OpenBox or something on it, and yeah, they never had any spyware issues ever again. And they reckon that the internet actually ran more stable after I put on Linux than running it through Windows. Yeah, because they had to like reboot the PC every couple of days with Windows 98, and they reckon like it ran for like a month fine.
What distro did you put on?
I was one of the old Slackware ones that actually came on a PC magazine.
I was like, this has to
like,
be an ancient thing.
It was like a P3 with like an adapter that had a P2 CPU on a P3 motherboard, and yeah, it was just apparently they threw in all this stuff out of various computers just so they'd have one in the lounge room to share the internet. Because at the time, Australia didn't have DSL or fiber. It was like all dial-up, and a couple people were having Optus cable at that time, but it was too expensive. So pretty much everyone was still on dial-up.
Wow, I mean, you had my interest at Windows 98. So like,
yeah.
or the couple of years ago, and then Windows 98 followed that. It's like,
a couple of years after that, I went back to the same house to fix their computer again, and they had a Bigfoot hard drive. And I don't know if you guys got those in America, but they were 5 1/4 drives that were, I think they were like 4 and 10 terabytes. Not terabytes, gigs, sorry, back then. But they were really cheap, and people were buying up like hotcakes, and yeah, they had the worst failure rate, like worse than Seagate.
Worse than Seagate, I like the benchline.
You know, I'm curious about. I'm just nosing around DistroWatch, and I was wondering, has anybody ever really used the System Rescue CD? It's based on Gentoo. Have you used that?
Nah.
I actually got someone to install it the other day because he couldn't work out how to partition the drive properly in Windows. So I just said, look, boot this up. It's got gparted. Sort it all out. Reset up your partition and then boot back into Windows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he did that, and he's like, oh, wow, it's actually really easy to sort out. I'm like, yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff in System Rescue, like the test discs. It's just Photo Rec and test disk are like, I think they're the same thing, but not the same thing.
That's to recover deleted files, right?
Right. Yeah. But Photo Rec is the recovery tool, but it's not just photos.
I'm pretty sure that's the micro SD recovery one. That if your micro SD card is damaged, it like recovers stuff for you.
No, they might at some point have been that, but I remember PhotoRec. I used PhotoRec to just save some laptops and stuff. Like it's
okay.
Weird.
It
Like,
probably changed. Since
I used it once. It can be time consuming though, if I recall.
No, it's not physical time consuming, but it like the terminal command runs for hours, depending on what what you're like pulling from. Like I had a laptop drive that was like 500 gigs or something, and test disk like 8 hours, 9 hours to do.
Yeah.
Actually,
it worked pretty good. Yeah,
it was
there
very
was one
good.
program I used years ago that would recover data, and it was called Stellar Phoenix, and it would take like a week to recover data, but it recovered data really well, and the whole program was $96 Australian.
Nice.
It expired, unfortunately, like 3 years later because of their stupid, like it would talk back to their server, and it's like, oh, you used it for 3 years, you've got to buy it again.
Yeah.
And so at that stage, Linux stuff started coming out for free anyway, so I swapped over.
That's better. But,
interestingly enough, the reason why I was kind of nosing around looking at that too, and I don't know that this would even be able to help. I've got a laptop of my son-in-law's sister sitting here. Her husband had it out in Afghanistan, and they got a virus on it and started messing around trying to fix it. But there's something going on with it. I can't even get into the BIOS. And I've been trying to find the jumpers to see if I could jump. I've had it apart, whatever. And it's one of those things now. It's just kind of a mission thing to see if I could even fix the thing. But I don't know what happened to it. It's bizarre. I don't know how, that either the BIOS got corrupted or I don't know what happened to it. But
I think the last nasty virus I got, it was probably in Windows XP. Since Windows 7 on, maybe I'm just lucky, but nothing nasty. The occasional annoyance, but not enough to crash my system.
From Classic Shell, I downloaded Classic Shell for Windows 7, and they actually had their servers infected, and it killed the MBR. And I didn't even know I was infected, and I just thought, it's just Windows doing weird stuff. So I just nuked C drive, reinstalled, and it was good. And then, a couple of hours later, they're like, "Oh, our servers got infected." It's like, "Oh, there you go." But I didn't lose anything on C drive because I've always installed the OS on its own partition, and then had the swap file on another partition, programs on another one, and data on a different physical drive.
One of the things that I'm sorry.
See it so many times. People are like, "Oh, I don't want to reinstall. I don't want to reinstall. I'll lose my data," and it's like, this is the way I've done it since Windows 98. If you actually set up your hard drive with a structure to start with, it shouldn't matter what OS you have on your first partition. You can just nuke it and start again. And if you actually have a dedicated downloads folder, a documents folder, all that on another partition or a drive, then you're not going to lose anything.
Well, I believe in backing up. Yeah, back up and back up and back up. Of course, don't back up the virus either, But
well, I usually have a different home partition than my regular OS, that works great for backing up data and stuff like that. But it does mess it up if you switch from, say, GNOME to KDE or things like that, because there are folders in there that have settings for different things that just screw things up, especially theme-wise.
I think you should copy your entire home folder, but not try to bring it all back. Just bring back the things you want.
That's exactly what I have to do. You have to pick and choose what you bring back.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal as far as all your files are usually not in the settings stuff, so you don't really have to care about that. So if you don't really care about the settings, then whatever.
It's usually the .local and the .config folders that you got to watch what you bring back.
Yeah.
See, I don't get into that. If my Linux system ever screwed up, and it's been a while, I would just normally I back up everything twice a month, at least all my files, folders, videos. But normally, if my system got screwed up and I dual boot, I'll go into Windows 10. I'll use EasyBCD to repair the MBR. That's a free download. I'll use that. I'll go into the not the file manager Windows. I can't think of it now. But go into where you can find
Computer management.
That's the one. Partitions. Delete the Linux ones, and then I think you should defragment after that, and then reinstall a new Linux distro. I haven't had
how many people don't defrag these days in Windows.
Yeah. Well, I don't, not as much. Of course, mine I think automatically does it in Windows 10. But normally, when your fragmentation is 5% or higher, you probably should defrag, if I had to guess. You know, there seems to be a difference.
That said, though, there's if you have an SSD, the theory is you shouldn't. Right. Although I've heard lately,
even though in a more modern Windows system, you should never really have to defrag.
Right.
Not in Linux. No, I've never defragged anything in Linux ever.
No, in Windows, in modern Windows, you generally don't need to defrag either, because what happens is the hard drives are so large, you don't really have to.
I do because I don't have an SSD. Yeah.
That's fine.
I've seen 3 and 4 terabyte drives, and trust me, they do need defragging.
Yeah, if you're
just
looking at,
because you've got a large physical drive does not negate that.
Well, it has a little bit more to do with just the drive too. It's just the speed of the access and things that defragging doesn't generally help as much as it used to. Like a long time ago, man, you had to defrag every month to actually get usability. Now, I mean, defragging is good, but you don't notice as much of a bump.
Well, I think with the drives now, like a WD Blue, I think does like 150 megasecond. Back in the day, you know, you were getting like 24 or 48 megasecond, and it was like, oh, got to defrag. You know, I'm not even getting 20 meg. Now, like, for some reason, we're still using gigabit on motherboards as well. We haven't moved over to 2.5 or 5 gig yet, which are ratified standards. And like one SSD will use the same bandwidth as 2 gigabit NICs together.
Well, it's after 1 o'clock, so I think I'm going to defrag for the evening, guys.
See you, man.
I'll catch you next time.
Ciao. I haven't defragged my computer in a decade.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think I've defragged my Windows 10 computer since I got it in 2010. Maybe
I haven't
I
either.
Windows. I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know nothing about Windows either. I don't.
I mean, I don't defrag because I don't have Windows, so nah.
Except for PUBG.
Meh. I don't really count that because I don't care.
Apparently, the Fortnite Battle Royale works on the line.
Whatever.
So you don't even need PUBG anymore. You can just play Fortnite.
No, because Fortnite's not on Linux.
No, it runs in one.
Yeah, that's not Linux.
True. And it's funny, it's not Linux because it's actually sponsored and published by Epic, and Epic have native Linux support in the engine. And it's like, why is this not a thing? Like, why are you locking everyone into DirectX 11?
Yeah, isn't it built on Unreal or something?
It's done by UE4, done by Epic. Like, Epic are sponsoring Fortnite as a company. Like, they're paying for everything. And it's just like, why lock everyone into DirectX 11? Just open to
like, isn't Epic the company that was like really anti the Windows like platform as a gaming platform because their whole
they were years ago
like thing?
Yeah,
like the licensing issue or the lockdown issues. Like you're locking it down now. Like what are you doing? But I've seen that Fortnite actually looks fun. Well, Fortnite Battle Royale looks fun. I don't know about the rest of it. I've only looked at the Battle Royale. But
I've asked a lot of indie and early access stuff. It's like, can you use OpenGL instead of DirectX 11? They're like, oh, we don't know how to do it. I'm like, do you want me to take a screenshot? Because I can show you the button in UE4 or Unity how to do it.
There's a checkbox that you just click it, and it's like...
Yeah, like my flatmate is actually a game programmer for early access games. And we were talking to a studio that was doing this game. And I'm like, go into Linux. Can you compile this for us in OpenGL and Linux? And they're like, oh, no, we can't do it. It's going to cost us too much money. I'm like, do you want me to get my flatmate to go where you are in Brisbane and show you guys how to do it? because he has a copy of Unity in Windows that can compile it. And it's like, this is a built-in thing. Like, the only thing stopping you supporting it is you.
If you clicking a button. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like,
it's
oh
the
no, we
same
still don't want to
code,
do it.
It's just compiled separately.
Yeah.
Not that big of a problem. But like there is some debugging they'd have to do, but overall there's so many aspects to it that makes it like 1,000 times easier. Like 90% of it is done for you. You just have to test it basically.
Well, I was talking to another early access game the other day, and they're like, "Oh, Linux doesn't work with our like middleware program we use for the audio." And I'm like, "Why don't you just use OpenAL or SDL2 or Steam Audio, something that's like free and cross-platform?" They're like, "Oh, we never thought about that."
So
I'm
we have
like, well, it's
problems not
free
working,
and it
we'll
works
love
on
it.
everything. And
Hey,
I'm
at least
looking-
they were honest and didn't give you, like a crap excuse.
Yeah, that's
Well, you
true.
see what here the technical aspects you wouldn't understand. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this other thing that works that's fine. Like, so you wouldn't understand. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I look up their engine that they paid for, and it actually supports Linux and Android. And so I link that to them, and they're like, "We've got to go now."
It's like we have some food in the oven. Just give us a minute.
Wait, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
It's like they get some paper and just starts crumbling at the microphone.
You know,
Like
that
sir,
sort of
we're on
reminds
a
me.
Google Hangout. We can see you.
Sort of reminds me. A couple weeks ago, I was, I'm always looking around at other phones, and I don't buy phones at retail. So we have a local lady who's, tries to deal with all the business people, and since I'm a member of, different business groups, then, always contact me. So I call her back. I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a couple models of phones, and one of those was the Nexus 5X." And she says, "Well, those don't work on our network." It's right here. It works on the network. I bought it on Craigslist for, $200.
Yeah,
of course it does.
Know your product line, lady.
Oh no, it doesn't.
That's the thing on retail stuff. I find most of them, if it's not on the back of the box, they don't know anything. They're just
the thing is, she's not
There's
retail
no,
staff. She is a business-to-business liaison to sell the products, which is worse than retail staff because she's a salesperson, not a customer, not a person who actually knows the product.
But it comes back to there is no proper experienced sales staff, I find, anymore. Like, they're all just glorified salespeople.
Yeah.
They'll bullshit anything to you to like sell you X so they can make a commission or just get stock out the door.
I had the funniest things. Somebody from one of these self-publishing groups cold called me 2 days ago. It was the most hilarious thing because, of course, I'm in the publishing world, and the most serendipitous thing is I'm right in the middle of launching a book next week, and so, I've been in the middle of all this, and here's this overly scripted salesperson trying to call me and trying to sell me on self-publishing stuff. I'm like, why would I pay you $800 for something I can do myself and enjoy doing myself?
Right.
And then,
almost as bad as the Indian Microsoft scammers that ring up.
Hey, I'm you have a virus. I'm calling from Windows.
Yeah, I just went, yeah, I'm running Linux, and they're like, click. So, that was easy.
They never call me, but if they did, just for fun, I have a Makulu Linux on my VirtualBox that I have themed exactly like Windows 10. I might just mess with them.
There's a couple of good videos on YouTube, and there's one guy keeps him on the phone for like an hour and a half, and he actually yanks out the network cable, and he's like recording himself doing it, and you can hear the conversation, and he's like, "Oh, that icon popped up. Is that supposed to do that?" And he's just like intentionally trying to screw him over remoting in.
My favorite was when there's these people who do YouTube videos and they actually call them, like they call them themselves. And there's like, for some reason these numbers are public, and then they started calling them, and then this one guy was like, he's going through the regular process, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, sure, yeah, whatever. I need help with my Windows. It says I have virus or something. I'm not sure what this means. And blah, blah, it goes to this whole thing. And then he goes, you have TeamViewer? He's like, what's that? What's a team viewer? And he goes through this whole process and he gets it all set up and he installs it and the guy goes, you see the part where it says partner ID? He's like, yeah. So he starts to click it to like tell him what the number is. And then the guy goes, you see the box next to partner ID? He's like, yeah. Here's the number that you should connect to. He's like, what? Are you giving me access to your machine? He's not even saying that, but he's like, he muted himself and he's like freaking out on the camera.
Oh,
and
so
they
the
give him
guy
access.
remoted into the scammer guy.
Yeah, he remotes into the scammer guy. And the guy's like, okay, now in the TeamViewer, will you, click the part that says switch users? He's like, yeah. Where's that? Talking about. And the whole time, he's remotely taking files off their computer.
Oh wow!
And
oh my gosh!
Off of their system. So he is breaking their system on purpose, like while he's like trying to pretend like I don't understand where the switch. You when you say switch, do you mean like traded or something? And he's like and then he's just start going through it, and you can see him like going through the file system and like taking everything out. And then some of the stuff was like documentation of the people they were scamming. So he would call the people who were scammed and send them like he said at some point there was like banking information for their stuff, and he would send money back from them.
Wow.
And like I don't know if that's legit, but that's what he said. But the video is hilarious because he's just breaking stuff. And then he's like, so I decided that I don't need you to fix my computer. Turns out you're an idiot, and I just broke all of your system.
It's a shame he didn't put the crypto virus on their computer. They could have phoned themselves to fix it.
I don't know if how far he went, but it's like that'd be awesome if he did.
I think Barnacles actually just a couple days ago called one of those guys for fun on the live stream.
Yeah,
that's the second one he's done actually.
Yeah, I never have those guys call me, but I have tons of vacation guys, so I do mess with them. I have a few actually. One of them was just so serendipitous because I'm having my camera up, I got the mic up, I'm doing a video test so I can start recording something, and the phone rings. So I'm just like, click record and go. It was awesome.
You did
one
a video
of them actually
on
live streamed.
You did a video on it not that long ago, didn't you?
Yeah,
Tom?
I actually have three or four of them actually.
Yeah.
Because I recorded some of them, like I recorded one of them mostly in audio, and I think I've 4 on my channel somewhere.
Because I remember
one of them he called.
You were writing notes and putting up, and you were doing one. So I bet you're putting the notes up and telling.
I'm more annoyed when they call you and it's a machine. You're like, I can't even mess with you. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. There's just other goofy things you need to do. You need to interface with them and get a live guy on the phone, and then you waste your time for about an hour.
Most of the time when they call me, it's not about the computer. It's about my car warranty. It's like, oh, your warranty's almost up. You mean the car that I bought 17 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I heard one of the debt collectors in Brisbane actually uses the automated phone thing, and they make the mistake of when they ring up the first time, they go, is this like, Bob Smith, whatever? And you can actually just say no, and then they don't ring you up anymore. Apparently that's happened to a lot of people in Brisbane. They've rung up and go, oh, is this so-and-so's number? And you go, no. And then they got no way of like contacting you.
That'd be good. I wish they would actually be a person when they call. Now it's just robocalls.
Well, that's it. It's like if you're running a debt collection thing, it's like at least hire a freaking real person to like talk to a person. Don't just like automate it all.
Well,
now in the States, they're of course they've been fighting over having auto messages delivered to your inbox without even ringing the phone. Now, I already received some of those types of calls where it'll ring for just a second and then it just goes right to voicemail.
I've gotten a couple of those.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I think one of them was, this is the IRS, It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
We
there's
have an IRS problem.
the only one I've been getting that directly is actually a debt collector that is somehow got linked into my phone number, because it was a really funny story, because I managed to weasel information out of the debt collector once. Because what happened is there's a person, like I'm in one area code in the state, and Harrisburg and Altoona has a different area code in our state. But the guy moved from Harrisburg. No, his Altoona shares ours. He moved from Harrisburg to Altoona. He has my cell phone number, but with a different area code. But he moved into the area that has my area code, and so people kept getting confused about the area code. And he had a wrongful death situation surrounded him, and so racked up a bunch of medical bills due to this wrongful death situation. And so that ended up getting my cell phone number on their debt collector calls. And then I was getting calls from the school to pick up a sick kid when I was in the other half of the country. It was just crazy.
Tom, you said this was a funny story.
This
doesn't sound funny to me, dude.
Well, the funny part, well, the funny part is that the debt collectors, they let it die after a while, and then eventually they'll wake it up. And so I have a guy that's leaving me the calls right now. They're using this strategy where they auto-deliver a mail saying, hey, we have a document in our office that we need you to call about. And I haven't had the time to call them back directly yet, but eventually I will. It's just like...
And that will be on YouTube next week.
Well, if they leave me another message soon, I might. I don't really want to call them back from my direct number, but I might anyway. Just be like, okay, guys, you got the wrong number.
Yeah, just get a burner phone.
Yeah. Well,
Ting.com.
that one.
But there's there's the issue would be people calling, there's I had someone call me to inform me of a bill I owed them, and they said, is this the number? And I was like, yes, that's the number you called, because that's how numbers work. And then they were like, well, are you this person? I was like, no. So you have reference to someone owes you for a number that they have not had in 7 years, and now that's your up-to-date information. They're like, oh, well, we're sorry. And then the next day they called me again.
Yeah, well, what happens is debt brokers are buying up old bad debt after 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
I told them it's not me.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't believe you. They don't believe you, and so they will keep calling you. Yeah, because the idea is that they paid about a nickel for that, and if they can get anything out of it,
I think that I'm aware of why they're doing it. I just think it's funny that because it's like I'm just going to continue
it is
the same thing.
Yeah, it is. And the best thing you can do is figure out who they are and send them a certified letter saying, yeah, if you don't stop me next time you call, you're officially harassing me. I'm going to sue you. And you legitimately can, as long as they're a U.S. company.
Well, usually the best part is when it's when these people are actually calling me. I have a phone, I have my phone that automatically records all calls. So when they call me, I just want to let you know this phone call may be monitored and recorded for you.
for training purposes.
Exactly. And usually they hang up immediately.
I think the funniest ever.
I'm going to give up here because I'm going to turn into a pumpkin pretty soon. So talk to you guys later.
See you, Barb.
Thanks for coming.
So
the
funniest I ever had
is job to be like.
Yeah, when the Comcast people actually let me record the phone call, because they were just kept on messing with my bill, and I called them up and said, hey, I'm recording this call, and they let me record it, and that became one of my funniest videos ever. I actually made a video out of that one. She literally says, oh no, there's the back-end auditors keep on adding the modem rental to your account. Like, can you tell them? No. Can I call them? No. Nobody can reach these back-end auditors. I'm like, okay, so you're confessing to me on a call I've already recorded that you guys just simply keep adding things to my bill, and I have to keep calling you back.
Customer service.
I had a good one. I had one of the ISPs turn up to my door at a previous place, and they were like, oh, we've got this awesome deal. And I said, I'm not interested. I've already got kick-ass internet. I doubt you can do any better. Oh, no. I'm like, all right, come in then. And so I showed him the setup we had 6 computers in this house because we had three guys all sharing. I had a old file server that was the I think it was Smoothwall sharing the internet, and we had a Nokia modem at the time that came for free with the ISP, and like I think it was like 500 gig a month, which was like big back then on ADSL1. And he's like, "Oh, cable is so much faster," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not much gigs and it's more money." And like we were paying $60 a month for 500 gig on ADSL1, I think it was. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this plan's like," and I'm like, "Is it more than 60?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's $90. I'm like, "So how many gigs is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's 50." I'm like, "Why would I pay $30 more for like hardly anything?" And in the end, my other flatmates came out and we were all talking to him. And we ended up getting him to resign from that job and to sign up to the same ISP we were with. And he then bought a modem off me because I had a wholesale account at the time and I was repairing computers full time then. And yeah, he'd come around and ask tech questions every now and then. It was quite funny, like him actually like resigning because it was a bad deal. And then he approached the company I was using for internet and got a job with them.
Like that's pretty interesting. There's like that's pretty funny that you get him to convince, like, just switch his, like, he's not switching you switched him to a different company to work for.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
But you said, or you say 500 gigs, are you talking about like that's your bandwidth limit?
Yeah. This
Oh,
is a
wow.
thing that's been existed in Australia for 15, 20 years. Like, it's only recently until we've had proper unlimited ADSL2. Like, this is only a recent thing. Like, for years and years and years, it's like, oh, I've got 150 gig. Yeah, that's a lot, you know. And then they had the 250 plans come out, and then it was 500, and everyone's like, wow, we'll never see any more than 500. And then they bought the terabyte plan, but to get the terabyte plan, you had to like get slower speeds, and even on mobile phones.
Is that like a per month thing?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm actually paying $100 Australian. I get a lane line, which I never use, but it's good for emergencies when the internet goes down. The ADSL2, which is actually wrapped around what they called NBN, which is apparently our fiber, but because half of Australia is actually on fiber and then the rest of the half is still on copper, we're still on the ADSL2 exchange. But even that is like 500 gig a month.
Wow.
But we never go over it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm still gonna complain, but at least I have perspective. It's not as bad.
And then like we're supposed to be on NBN, but the speed is like 50/20, and that's actually fast. Like my internet is actually faster than most people around here. Like it's quite common for someone to have like a 4/1 connection, or even like, you know, an 8/4.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my up is terrible, but you know, like that's yeah. That sounds a little painful. So, you know, good luck.
That's Australian internet for you. It's always funny. Like I hear about Americans going, "Oh, I got to pay like $60, and that includes like cable TV and phone and internet and like unlimited calls and this and that and that."
I mean, it's
like
not that.
5,000 channels, and it's like, yeah, that's like still cheaper and more gig just on that internet than like we even do.
Well, it's not that good. I have $60 and I have on the internet. I mean, it's good internet, but
almost 70.
Yeah, it's good internet in comparison to yours. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still gonna complain because there's still a monopoly. That's still a horrible problem. But
Yeah.
as far as like in
with-
comparison, you know,
I'm not sure how the American system works, but in Australia, we've only got one telco that lays the cable for the entire nation. And then what they do is they then rent out half the bandwidth and half the lines to every other company. And then on some of the exchanges, other telcos come along and install more telco gear just on the exchanges. But Telstra, which owns all the infrastructure, actually reserves a lot of ports, even if they never use them, intentionally, so other telcos can't rent those ports.
Yeah, ours is every all the stuff that's all the infrastructure that's laid out is by different companies, and there's different like to territories and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
so
the government actually decided years ago that only 2 companies in Australia was allowed to put in infrastructure for internet, and so yeah, we had a company called Optus. They laid down cable, and that was like 6 years ago, and they have not laid down any cable since. So that network is like totally saturated, and like even people that used to have good Optus cable are now moving back onto the old copper system. Because it gets to a stage as they keep on signing up people, the network can't cope with all the traffic because there's too many people on it and it gets saturated. So everyone just goes back to the old copper system, which ironically is still faster.
Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, so I have a new perspective, and I appreciate that offering that. But
it gets worse. Like,
because
like 10 years ago, Telstra actually came out and admitted that all the traffic from America to Australia was paying. So Australia pays for all the data from Australia to America and back, and we pay for all the traffic from America to Australia and back. So it's like, that's great.
Really,
no wonder our internet's so expensive. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And in the last 5 years, 7 times the link from Perth to Singapore has been damaged for more than 1 month at a time.
Wow.
Luckily, we've got there's a connection from Sydney, which is on the east coast, a connection from Brisbane, where I am, and there's 2 connections in Perth. But at the moment, the one from Brisbane is damaged, and the one in Perth is damaged. So I'm actually downloading some stuff recently in the last week, and it's like 30, 50K. Because
wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. I'm actually finding it's quicker to download something on an EU mirror than an American mirror at the moment.
Wow. I mean, that's messed up. Like, yeah.
But the good thing is Steam has local Sydney servers, so most of the stuff comes down off the Aussie servers insanely fast.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of games have oceanic, like, region gameplay stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Well, insanely fast compared to what?
30K a second?
Insanely fast is like, it actually works. The basic works.
Yeah.
It just
well,
works.
our insanely fast, like, every now and then we'll, like, top out at 5,000, and it's like, woo! Full speed. And, yeah, then it goes back to 3,000. It's like, that panda.
Well, what do you guys use as far as mobile service anyway?
We've got 3G, which they're phasing out. We've got 4G currently, and they're just introducing 5G. And the funny thing is, they've bench test some of the 5G in Sydney, and it's actually faster than our fiber.
Wow.
But we don't have CDMA anymore. That's like every time like a new Spectrum comes out for phones, they intentionally discontinue the other one so no one can use it. So we don't have CDMA, we don't have GSM anymore, we don't have 2G anymore. We've only got 3G and 4G currently. By Christmas there won't be any more 3G, so there'll only be 4G, and next year they're all moving over to 5G.
Oh my gosh.
Which is the trouble that Nokia had, is because they were going to bring out the 3310 a couple of months ago, and it only had 2G and GSM, and it's like, well, that's fine for America and the rest of the world, but yeah, we need 3 and 4G, and ideally 4G. So it got delayed until next month for the Nokia re-release.
Joe, you said, or Joe, what do you have?
U.S. Cellular.
Tom, you got Verizon, you said?
Verizon.
Michael?
T-Mobile.
Me too.
Until I'm getting off of T-Mobile.
Why do you got to get off of T-Mobile, dude?
Because
why are you hating on T-Mobile?
They're expensive, and they suck. Their customer service is painful. Their services are awful. They cost too much. Their services are terrible. They don't, like, as far as the actual service itself is terrible. They don't have, like, every time I call them, it's very painful and I hate it. They don't have any kind of like reasonable deals, and every time they're like, "Oh, you have the best thing we offer."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, your competitor has like half the price and literally everything else you have. Like, and when I say literally, I mean it's actually using your network.
Right.
It's T-Mobile's network, so everything that's on your network is on this network, and they are half your price and unlimited of data. And
This is why you don't sign up on contracts.
Right.
Well, I don't have a contract with T-Mobile.
T-Mobile doesn't have contracts anymore. But like the fact that they were like, well, I mean, this is our best deal. Thing. This is stupid. And then the entire time they were like trying to get me to like, oh well, you shouldn't leave because blah blah. Like, so have you heard of?
Pay you more money for this?
Well, I was talking to the customer service person. It's like, have you heard of the company Metro PCS? They're like, oh, well, I've heard of it, but they're not that good. It's like, T-Mobile owns them. The company you're working for literally owns their own competition, and the competition that they own is a better deal, and it's still your network. And they're like, oh. And I was like, what do you pay for your employee discount? Metro PCS is cheaper than their employee discount.
Wow.
Like, it's ridiculous. If you want unlimited everything on Metro PCS, it's $50 a month. That's it. If you have more than one person, it goes down by like $10 or so. So each person's like saving $5. So you pay like, only $80. Yeah, only $90 to get that one.
Right.
And then like, the more you add, it goes lower and lower. So like by default with T-Mobile, it's like anywhere between $80 to $90 for one person. And it's not even unlimited.
I don't
like
pay that though.
Right, you probably don't have. Do you have like a family plan or something?
No, I just have the single. I have me. It's only my phone, and I think it's $33 a month, something like that. And
Did you get into the? Are you grandfathered into that old plan?
Yeah.
Oh,
they don't even make that. They don't even offer that plan anymore. So I got unlimited data, and 100 minutes of phone, which I don't even use now, and I pay $33. So it's like so cheap.
Yeah,
I can't get it any cheaper.
They had T-Mobile, and they were like, I was like, my T-Mobile sucks. And they're like, I love T-Mobile. I was like, do you have that freaking plan?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah. Every single person who likes T-Mobile has that plan.
Yes.
Have you ever looked into Ting though? I know that Chris always talks about that.
Yeah, it's always like, buy Ting, blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, that's
great. A great dashboard if you didn't know that, by the way. Great dashboard.
What's that?
Well, they're great. They're great unless you go over the data. And then
they're great unless you use your phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Right. And the more you use it, then you're in trouble. That's what I was wondering. The one thing about these, all these companies, I had US Cellular for years. Then when they were changing over from analog to digital, they always kept denying there was an issue. I was dropping. It'd take me 6 calls to make one and whatever. So then I got rid of them for a while, and I had Sprint. And then I started hitting pockets where you couldn't make calls there either. So I went back to them. I've been with them ever since. But one of the things I don't like that they pull is if you have an issue with your phone, let's say you drop it and you break the glass, and you have a phone laying around, they'll go in there and they'll activate that phone. When you get this fixed, they'll reactivate it back, boom, boom, boom. But you go buy a new phone, they want to charge you an activation fee. I said, I'm an existing customer, so you do it for a broken phone. I said, why new? Well, that's what the other companies are doing, so we're all doing it now. Well, then the way around it now is you go and you get a unlocked phone.
And you break yours.
Yeah. No, but the point is to buy an unlocked phone and you just transfer the SIM card, and then that avoids the reactivation fees.
Yep.
Yeah, that's messed up.
That's exactly what I started to do because, of course, I used to do all the contracty stuff to get the cheaper phone. Then now, of course, they're going without the contract, so they're just going with you go in and you pay them monthly. I don't do things on monthly payments, and so hunt for deals. Nexus 5X, it was brand new in a box. I paid $200 for it. Got a good deal on Craigslist.
Yeah, because now it's leased the phones because they're so expensive. Yeah, it's a bunch of garbage.
Yep.
Got screwed. Don't like it.
There's a good place I found.
What kind is it?
It's a Nexus 6.
And it sells unlocked phones from Asia. And I can actually buy brand name phones directly from Asia, cheaper than I can buy locally unlocked. Like they have refurb ones and brand new Samsung, Apple, everything. You can actually buy every single Apple component individually, and then just assemble it yourself as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen people do videos on those.
Well,
like I like the OnePlus the new OnePlus 5 looks pretty good.
The OnePlus 5 looks really nice, man.
Yeah, I'm considering getting it. When I upgrade it, like I want a phone that's not going to make me like hate the manufacturer in every way.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, one of the things I just, as we were on the show tonight, I decided it wasn't telling me, but I decided to do the update reluctantly. But there's only reason why I did it was because some of the features, as soon as I saw my wife's phone, they had the buttons are bigger to read everything, on the iPhone 6. But what I don't like is they're starting to show their ugly head, Apple, that they're more like Microsoft, where they're trying to push their Apple Pay and all, do you want to sign up now or whatever, or you can sign up later and we're going to hound you for it, whatever. They're starting to do the same stuff Microsoft's doing, where they want to push their services on you, and they're going to force
Apple's the king of that.
Run the device, and it's just crap.
Yeah, Apple is the king of that. They made it fancy to be an Apple vendor locked. So I wouldn't say they're copying Microsoft. I think Microsoft copying Apple.
Well, no, they're both the same. It's just Apple's a little quieter about it usually.
Yeah, but mainly it's because they make it where people want to be locked in is their thing.
Right.
Yeah, and that's I have a big problem with that kind of stuff, because when the company goes crazy, like Apple really is going crazy right now, and you're so locked in, you have a hard time getting out. So that's actually why I switched to the reason I was specifically looking for the Nexus 5X is the versatility that I can take this phone to any carrier because it has GSM and CDMA chips in it. But this also has a lot of good support for a lot of different things. So I'm actually running Lineage on this. There's not a single Google service. Everything that I have installed is open source, side-loaded, and verified. And I'm running all my network connections through Tor.
Yeah,
so you could do that pretty easy on a Nexus 5X.
Yeah, sure.
The
a lot of the
Samsung
phones have that benefit.
Samsung I've got, I can't put on Lineage on it, which sucks.
Wait, which one you have? It looks like an S5.
It's a what do they call it, a Duo or something. It's a fairly old one.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, it's one of these weird chips they've got in it, which doesn't work on any of the custom ROMs at all.
Yeah. I have a Nexus 5. I have two Nexus 5 that are broken. And I have the Nexus 6 that actually works, and a bunch of weird ones that don't matter, like a Huawei or a like an LG.
Well, I've got this old one too. This is a Asus Garmin one with a car GPS in it, and it was good when I was doing some career driving a few years back.
Nice.
So how do I find my phone, my old phone that the battery's now dead in? Because I don't remember where I put it.
Get a metal detector.
His house is made with steel beams.
Because I could probably use that to start to investigate Lineage and stuff, but
yeah,
I gotta find it first.
I'm actually, because I have a broken
oh my god,
broken Nexus 5.
You got some idiot in the chat going, why do you need a GPS in Australia? You only have 3 cities. I was thinking you've never actually looked at a map or anything before.
Yeah, that's rude. There are 7. Thank you.
Yeah.
But they're very big ones. That's
we're probably as big as America if you slapped Australia on the American map.
Robot is always making comments.
I mean, not at all, actually. It's about half of it.
I don't know, pretty big.
And also half of Australia is not habitable.
So we're still big. Well, the funny thing is when you guys were saying about CDMA to GSM and that, there was areas in Australia that they forced everyone from CDMA to GSM, and just everyone lost reception overnight. It took the government and the telcos half a year to a year to get people connected again, because the CDMA would go out that far, out west and stuff, and just the new frequencies just didn't go that far. So they're like,
so. But why is all of that though? Like, why are they messing with CDM, and why are they removing some of this stuff?
This is the stupid thing the Australian government has. It's like, oh, we've got something new and shiny. Okay, the previous thing mustn't be any good anymore, so we'll lock out everyone from using it.
Wow. I mean, but is it like politics, or is it about money, or what?
I don't know. I've never really. It doesn't seem to make sense, and no one can actually explain it.
Yeah.
They just tie up old frequencies, so no one else can use them.
That's funny. Well, like I said, I gotta find my G4 because I would love to. Now that I think about it, love to do some Lineage OS on it and check out some stuff on it. That would be awesome, but I gotta find it first.
I was looking into getting that Jelly Pro. It looks kind of cool. It's like $75 in the last 3 days on a battery.
Right.
I just have to confirm that you can actually put Lineage or some sort of like custom ROM on it.
Well, one of the guys in the chat said, would we get earlier? Would we buy the KDE phone if it was available?
The Prism one or whatever it's called.
Purism, yeah.
Yeah, it's $750. It's like, what the heck?
Well, yeah, but that's the going rate for a top of the line phone right now. So it's not like you'd be paying anything more. It's just whether or not it'd be worth it if it's if it's going to be stable enough.
A lot of people in Australia and New Zealand are getting phones from GearBest, and like a phone that's like $700 off GearBest, same features, like same chipset, same RAM, same everything. It'll be like 300 to 400 Australian. You're only paying, like in Australia, you're only paying for the brand. Like the same phones you can get from China, literally for like $200, $300 cheaper.
Right.
They're even finding you can actually get Samsung batteries, shove them in these like knockoff phones, and it works exactly the same.
The Libre 5 hardware is not known, so there's nothing to compare it to. Well, yeah, everything with that phone is kind of like up in the air. It's all like concept, and that's the thing. You never know if even if you're backing it, you never really know if it's gonna actually be something other than just a concept.
That's the problem with this crowdfunding is like none of them give you 100% guarantee that like if no product comes out in 3 years, you'll get your money back. Like you're really just backing an idea, and if the phone comes out or if like a game comes out or whatever, great. Otherwise, you might be just throwing it away. So you're really donating it towards a project. You're not really buying a product.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much the way you got to look at it. That you're donating to it because you really have no guarantee.
Yeah, I think that's what
I really want a
early
Linux
access
phone
on software. Like you have all these early access games these days, and some support Linux, some support Windows, and they never get polished within like 3, 4, 5 years. I've still got a couple of games, and they just still aren't there. Like heck, Star Citizen, they've raised over 200 million, and we still haven't got a product like 4 or 5 years.
I was thinking about that the other day because we covered that in Destination Linux, and it looked like it was gonna be such an awesome game, but you hear nothing about it right now.
Well, our clan in Australia, we've got 80 people. 70 bought a ship, and in our fleet, we've got 213 ships. I've spent 300 American on it. Others have spent like $1,000 Australian on it. And yeah, we've all pretty much just given up on the game now. It's like we may not ever see the game come to retail, and there's no way of really getting a refund.
It's wrong.
And plus, we wouldn't put any more money into it at the moment because 200, like, say if we buy a ship for 250 American, that's about 400 Australian right now at the conversion rate. and they're adding GST, but they still refuse to charge in Australian dollars. So you convert it from like 250 to Australian, which is about 350. Then you add 10%, and then that's how much we pay for something from America.
Yeah, wow. All right, Tom, would you buy a Linux phone?
I'm not sure. Obviously I want something that for me, I got into Linux because of privacy issues with Windows and things, and and other operating systems, and I have more control over the privacy with that. So in that sense, if I have a phone with the ability to have better privacy, which this one has kill switches, so in theory you should get better privacy, that's a good thing. The downside for me is I'm a bargain hunter, so I would not pay the price for it. Not a chance.
Yeah, they need to bring
I would buy one on
price
used
model
market.
in.
What's that?
They need a lower price model.
Yeah, that's what it is, because it's especially with how hard it is to get people on board with a Linux phone to say we're just going to come out and compete with Apple and Samsung and make a super high end product. They're not going to sell. I mean, it's just
like in
not
Australia,
going to
you can
be
get
enough.
brand name Samsungs for like $400, and like if you said, would you buy a Linux phone for $750? They'd be like, why?
Yeah.
Why are we
And that's
paying
the
all that
thing.
extra money?
And of course you have the other problem for most people. It's not as big a problem for me, but the apps, and if the app structure is not there, you're going to lose the majority of your people. Now, you're not really going to lose me over the apps because I really don't install many apps. I want a phone that I can use internet. I can use it as a portable internet, like a portable hotspot. I want to be able to check my email, and I want to be able to make phone calls and text. That's pretty much what I use my phone for.
I like how the last thing you're saying is phone calls. I want to use my phone for and phone calls are there too. But whatever.
Well, I mean, the only phone calls I get, honestly, right now are scammers. So
Hey, look, I said I got that T-Mobile plan. I got unlimited data, but I only got, 100 minutes or something like that? I don't use it for a phone. I barely use the phone for the phone.
I've been getting a lot of people move over to Wire, and a lot of people I see now love Wire because when they're at home, they can connect to the home Wi-Fi. They can send an SMS that looks just as like gimmicky with emotes and stuff through Wire, and as long as their friend has it and it's free, and it works on Android and Apple and a computer, all these people you're saving us so many minutes and quota. It's like we're not actually calling anyone; we're wiring everyone now.
Well, that's great, and Wire is actually pretty darn good, but you have to get people to switch to it. That's the thing. Like if and getting somebody to switch to another messaging program is so difficult, man, because now you have to convince them that they really need it.
Well, the funny thing is, I find girls are actually more they'll convert if they get their friends to do it. Where a lot of guys are like, no, I only like this program or this one. Where if you say to girls, oh, yeah, you can instant message and text friends for free and do video chat and it'll all run through the internet at home, they're like, yeah, sure, that saves us money, right? And we're like, yep. They'll install it and they'll contact all their friends and go, install this, it's great.
Yeah.
It's like self-marketing. It's awesome.
The worst thing about it is when you find a thing that's like the best thing around and you go, hey, you should all use this. And they go, well, I guess. And then Wire comes down and you're like, hey, you should use this. And they're like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or unfortunately, in some situations over the years, you find a really good product. Like Asus had this really good router back in the day that you could actually put open WRT on. And it's like, I sold so many of those for different businesses, and you just put the open source firmware on it, and then just out of the blue, not sold anymore. And you never get a reason. It's just like, nah, we don't want to sell it anymore, and they go back to proprietary crap models.
Yeah, that's why I like TP-Link, because they typically have.
I've actually started using TP-Link a lot.
Yeah, they usually
Yeah,
have
that's
support.
that's what my router is.
They actually released a thing where they were required to put like proprietary firmware on it or something, like legally required to do it, and they were like, so yeah, this thing's here. We're not going to help you fix things, but we're also not going to get in your way if you want to change something. It's like they're kind of like forced to do it. They're like, but also if you want to just, flash this, we don't care. How about it?
Yeah, one good set of TP-Link routers, which actually worked on the NBN, and then they applied a firmware patch to fix stuff, and then it didn't work on the NBN in Australia anymore, and it actually removed traffic shaping. And so for the next month, I was going around to people's computers and remoting in, applying the old firmware, and then removing the auto update function on it.
There's I just want to go back to the thing because I was listening to you talking about the Librem, and the Librem 5 is something that I really, really want to exist. And I'm really fine with paying more to support an open source project and to support Linux on a phone and support the innovation they are doing. Like,
it's a great idea having one that doesn't talk to the government and like a proper open source phone.
Right, but the
problem
phone
is
also allows you to change the distro on it easily, like a laptop and a desktop allows you to do. That is awesome. As long as the distro supports the firmware or the hardware itself, you can use it. That's the concept of the device, and that's awesome. Like I'm very much into that. It just doesn't exist right now. That's why I'm not putting money into it. But I hope other people do that have the money to do so and waiting for it. So I can't afford to pay money for something that doesn't exist yet and then wait a year to get it. But
that's what we're talking about too.
I hope they do. Because I do want that phone, and when the phone comes out, I will get it.
I love the idea of it, and the other thing I really like what they're doing is that UB Ports and Plasma Mobile are also working with them on the project as well, which means we're going to get some out of it. And if that comes to fruition, people will start to see that it will become something that other people can start to do, and that will help the community in the long run. I just think they're shooting too high to start.
Well, they have to have the funding to make it viable and to make it work right, and also the hardware that they're using is not their decision really. They're not making the hardware; they're using an ODM structure.
Well, they're making that bet. They're trying to get you to pay for something that's not there yet. But it will never be there until you pay for it. So it's that kind of like conundrum.
Yeah, it's a catch-22 kind of thing. But like in the situation of, there's a necessity for it, for me anyway. And if enough people agree to that, who have the money to spare and the willingness to wait, then that would be amazing. And as soon as it comes out available to purchase in retail-like situations, not necessarily in retail, but like online or whatever, I will totally get one. It's just I don't have the ability to buy one now, or buy the concept now. Not really one, but it looks awesome. Like the fact that they're picking that particular phone hardware is not their decision. They're at the whim of what they want to do. And what they want to do is to create a phone that can do multiple distros. In order to do that, you need a separate baseband from the firmware. So they need a manufacturer who's willing to put the effort into the research and discovery of making a baseband separated firmware for the phone. So because they can't do it themselves. So they have a deal with one company that's going to produce this phone that can do that. So they're not shooting for any particular price range. They're like, this is what we have to use, and that if you want to do what everybody who's a Linux fan wants, to be able to have a Linux phone and then put whatever they want on it, whatever interface they want, whatever distro they want, we kind of have to have this phone, or at least this whatever this company is doing to make this separated baseband, because otherwise it's just not a possibility.
Like with ARM, every single device is its own entity that you have to build for. Whereas you can't, like x86, if it's x86, it probably works. Whereas ARM is just like everything, every model, every infrastructure is all different. So they needed a way to do that, and the separate baseband is the main way to do it. So I'm so hoping that it gets funded. I don't know if it's going to be a good phone or not. That's what I hope it is. But as far as like the deals they're doing with GNOME and KDE and UB ports and all this other stuff, like that's awesome. Like they are, directly connected to the community, and they're showing that they care enough to do that. So I hope they do get funded.
I think a lot of the people that I know probably wouldn't get it because you just don't have the apps.
Well, I mean, you have Linux apps. And especially with Plasma Mobile, because the Kirigami framework is awesome, because like it means most Linux apps that are based on Kirigami can be responsive and move down to mobile with very seamlessly. So that's awesome. Like for example, the email client for this software could just be KDE's new email client, Cube. Yeah. So because it's Kirigami built framework, and if they have a whole nother year to finish that before the phone comes out, you would have your email client. It's just a KDE email client. And it's the same thing. That's awesome.
What happens when you have people that want like WeChat and all this sort of social media crap?
I mean, you get there. I would bet there's a terminal thing if you want.
Yeah, come on. All these people that like probably don't even use a computer half the time would not want to drop to the command line to type in how to install it. Like, if it's not on a stupid web store, they probably...
Well, I know. It is because the Discover app is built on Kirigami's too, so you can just use the Discover app as well. Like, but there's also, like, UbiPorts is an option. You can just use UbiPort features and UbiPort software.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but you're not seeing it from an average phone person that I come across.
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
Not for the average
you guys, the level of what you're talking about for these phones, I mean, it's hard enough trying to get people to use a Linux distro on their desktop. Now you're talking about these phones that are going to come out, and you're talking terminal. I mean, you get the average person that wants to buy a phone, they're going to go like, oh, why should I change to something that I'm familiar with? Because you got X coming out over here. It's like the Ubuntu phone. I mean, there's a lot of people that didn't even realize that phone ever existed.
But I think he has a point though, that it's not for the average user. I mean, the average person is not going to buy this phone.
It doesn't matter if they want it or not, or if they can handle it or not. It's not for them anyway. If they want to, take the risk and deal with it, then great. But it's meant for the person who wants to switch their distro on their phone or wants to deal with it.
Maybe that's why it's so expensive, because if it was cheaper, then average people would get it.
Well, also because the phone doesn't exist and they're at the whims of whoever makes it. Like they don't get to pick the price of what the people who make the phone charge them. Like they have to make it where it's viable for them as a company to continue to actually do it. So like, what is their markup? No idea, but like it's got to be like the manufacturing of it is at least half the price, because it's a very specific phone. So like it is not.
They haven't even like listed the specs though, have they?
No, but the fact that they have to actually build this phone specific to separate the firmware and the baseband, that is a very specific customs thing. So, like, no Android phone has that. So the fact that they have to have this done in order to do what they want to do, that's a big hurdle that they have to get over, and they probably have to pay a premium to get that done. So. I mean, I understand what the price, and the price is basically the same price as like a new, S8 or something. It's the same price as the iPhone and stuff like that. They're not like trying to make it like $1,200 thing or whatever. They're like, this is what we need to get, in the sense of like, this is how much it costs. It's high, we know that, but it's what we have to do because this is a very custom thing, and I understand that. And it's just like, as far as
actually the S8 is more expensive than the Linux phone.
Okay, good. That's better.
S8 is $900 Australian, The Linux phone is $750.
Okay, so good. It's cheaper than the current flagship.
Yeah.
And it's doing a lot of custom things.
It is that.
So, I think it has potential, and I definitely want a phone that has the promises what this phone does. The hardware switches stuff, I don't really care that much, but other than that, like the actual like separation and the fact that I can control what's running on it and all that stuff is just awesome.
I just checked. That's actually on sale. It's normally $1,199.
What a deal! What a deal! You can get 2 computers, or if you want to get to like one of those lower end laptops, you can get 5 of those for this one phone. No,
I actually bought the Toshiba Chromebook. It was $50 on sale, and I had a $50 voucher for the retailer, so I got it for $250 when it was normally, I think they were having it for like $300 to $400 in different shops, but at the time in America it was $200 American. So I almost paid what American pays.
I mean, Chromebooks are good for like basic usage. I do like them, but in the U.S., you can get like full-blown laptops now for like $250, $300 max that are like better than the Chromebook. So, meh. And
really
in Australia,
just
those
a
are
bare
like
metal
$700.
Chromebook and just put standard Linux on it. That would be the ideal laptop.
Yeah, definitely. Except for that whole developer mode thing.
Yeah. We'll just get rid of that and put on like CBIOS or one of the various open source BIOSes on it and just say install your own.
Didn't it?
Like
Wouldn't but if you try to change the BIOS, doesn't it break the device?
No, I've done that with mine. Mine's got CBIOS on it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that's good then.
Yeah, you actually have to open it up, take out the keyboard, and under the keyboard is a thing like a little cap you've got to remove, and then you can install any BIOS on it.
Oh, okay. So it's you have to also do a hardware modification then.
Yeah, which is not too hard. But
what it's not hard for this kind of situation, but it's the average user wouldn't do that.
No. But one thing I don't like
an average user.
Everything is soldered in. Like,
is that a newbie?
Battery is bolted in.
Beginner.
The RAM's soldered in. You can't actually easily like replace the SD card or anything. SSD drive, sorry.
Yeah, I think what's most frustrating to me, going back on Apple, and that's why I keep beating them up. Everybody says, "Oh yeah, whether it's a computer or this, they just work." But when you think about the price keeps getting pushed up and up and up, and let's talk about their computer. Well, the computers are typically 4-year-old technology, and they're still charging these mega prices for it. And as much as people get ticked about it, they still buy them.
This is one of the things they announced the iPhone X, I think they call it, the latest one in Australia.
10.
$1,500 is the cheapest. The average price is $1,800 in Australia for it.
And yet you could buy a 5. What do they call it? 5S or 5? I don't know. It's a little bit smaller one. My son just bought one for half the price of what their 6 or 7 or 8s or whatever we're going for.
Well, someone compared it, and it was the same specs as a S6.
Yeah.
Which is like years ago, and they're like, why just buy this expensive piece of crap when you can have something 3 years ago that was the same spec?
Well, I mean, isn't the answer to that question pretty obvious?
I actually took my Chromebook to a course I was doing, and the course campus had apples everywhere, and they were so slow. They were 27-inch i5 quad cores with some terrible slow hard drive. I actually took in my Chromebook, sat it down, put my USB 3 stick in there, and did all the work. And the Chromebook actually loaded and typed faster than their computers.
Yeah. Well, it still comes back. I think a lot of this comes back to just they've done their marketing well. Any of these companies. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They've got people believing, these products are so superior. And I'll give you a perfect example, and I may have talked about this before, and this is a little bit off of what you're talking about, but the principle is still there. A couple of years ago, HP put out this little tower for like $350, and it had all these nice looking specs done on the side, right? They're talking about the i processor that it had in it or whatever, and all the, but it didn't talk about megahertz, or it didn't talk about the details that people like us.
You're gonna hide all the tech specs.
Yeah, so
it's gonna be really vague.
You've got the sticker on
1
the
million
side.
to 1 dynamic contrast ratio.
Looks like you've got all this nice stuff in there, right? When in theory, you turn the computer around, and where the power supply goes is blanked off because you use like a power brick type cord. And if you open it up, it's got a little ITX board in there that you can't operate, you can't do anything with it. It's basically nothing more than a glorified netbook that goes inside of a case. But because the marketing was done so well, people thought they were really getting this nice computer until about a month later when they were burning up, you know. And it just, so my point is whether it's that or whether it's Apple or whether it's Microsoft or whatever, it's all, I think it still comes back to all about how it's presentation and marketing and how you get people, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but believing, you know, that something is maybe better than what it really is. I mean, not that Apple isn't a good product. It is. It's just, it frustrates, and people who use or avid users of them will say, I'm sick, you know, I'm still going to use it even though I know it's 4-year-old technology and I'm paying through the nose for it.
I think it's brand recognition too, and a lot of people have brand recognition for a product and a retailer. Like in Australia, we have several chain stores that do white goods and they do computer stuff. And, you know, I was telling someone about a USB 3 stick the other day when they needed a cheap one. It was like $15 at the computer store for a 32 gig USB 3. And they were like, oh, I paid $30 the other day. It's just like, why? Why don't you go to a proper computer store? Oh, I don't know where one is, so I just went to the white goods store.
Right.
It seems pretty common.
Because they got a catalog and it said it was on sale for $30, down from like $35. It must have been good.
Well, and it's like, you know, the average user, let's go back to that again. They look at it, oh, but it's got an i5 in it, or it's got an i7. Yeah. Which one? They don't know that there's one.
It's got an i7 from 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is they've got, you know, they don't realize that there's 6 in between there, you know, and there's a megahertz difference in the processing speed, and you know, and there are different, you know, there's a quad core, and then there's, you know, there's 6 core and there's 8 core, and there's different levels of them, but all they know are 3 numbers, you know, i3, i5, i7. You know, now they're coming out with the i9, of course, which is still burning up here and there, but you know, it's just.
Well, look, gents, it's getting late, so even though the conversation is good, I'm going to be heading out.
All right.
Understandable. I'm actually.
How much is the Apple new Apple laptop in America?
Depends on which one you're buying, but you'll spend $2,000 for a MacBook Pro.
Just having a look at the Apple Mac here.
The cheapest one on the market right now starts at $900. It's really crappy.
Yeah,
they've got
like
the
$999.
Touch Bar 15-inch, 512 gig SSD. It's on sale for $4,098.
Oh man, that hurts.
It's not worth it.
No.
Oh, of course not. But this is like, I know people that will go out and buy one, and then they expect it to last 6-7 years, and then they're amazed when, like, a lot of the old ones have just conventional drives. They die after 3 years. And they're like, oh, I don't have to open it. You know, I should just take it back to the Apple store and they'll fix it for me for free.
You know, one thing I got to give Apple credit for is they do have good support when it comes to that stuff.
Not from what I heard. Like, a lot of people have had no end of issues. And if you actually check out that Lois guy on YouTube, which actually repairs Apple, yeah, he hasn't had much luck with them at all. In fact, they've tried to shut his business down several times.
No, didn't you see the video where they were like, "Oh, we're sorry, we love you. Here are things that you can do for our stuff, and you can make videos. Thank you."
Like, there was a thing in the Australian news the other day about the new iPhone X, and they were like, "It's illegal in Australia to repair the iPhone X." Like, they passed some stupid law.
All right, last word for everybody.
Weird.
Last words.
Joe, last word.
Be open-minded. Give Linux a try.
Tom, your last word?
Linux can do far more than people imagine these days, so give it a try.
Charlie?
It's called mate, not mate.
There you go. Michael, last word?
What up, Mike?
Oh man, the last word just turned into a half an hour now.
I'll say.
TuxDigital.com.
TuxDigital.com.
Oh, I forgot to mention Tux Digital and Tux Digital. Oh, did I mention Tux Digital?
You did.
Okay, cool.
All right.
And Rocket
everybody in the live chat, have a good night. And the last word is Michael still didn't play the autumn update on Rocket League. It's a travesty.
I did it today.
Nice.
Like an hour after you yelled at me.
All right. Everybody have a great night.
See you later.
I don't.
Bye.